Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hewkii and Flammeus show. We
Welcome
have
back.
Redmuun, our friend Redmuun, on the show, and he's a musician. He's a very interesting dude overall. We had a really good chemistry going. It was one of
Yeah,
those.
went into so many topics, and some of them we went quite deep on. It was a lot of spiritual truths being shot back and forth through this Zoom call. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know it's a good episode when you can just, we could have essentially gone on for 10 hours.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
the fact that we stopped the episode was just the fact that, you had to sleep.
Yeah. I was like, okay, guys, come on.
Yeah.
This is great, and I want to keep going, but Jesus, I need to get to bed. Um,
Yeah,
so we'll surely have him on a second time. He's let us know that he would be willing, so let's see if that can happen at some point. But for now,
for sure.
enjoy the first encounter, the first appearance of Red
Oh,
Moon
wait,
on it.
right before we start, I should let you guys know that in the beginning of the episode, I forgot to turn off my musician setting, so there may be a little bit of a extra sounds or breathing into the microphone, but I caught onto it pretty quickly. It should be fine.
Got a little extra Hewkii for you.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Red Moon.
Hello there.
What is up?
We are in some sunny weather today in a sunny side Tennessee, creeping up on tornado season. Very scary stuff coming, but you know the business.
I actually don't. I've been to the US once and only once. I was in Arizona and in California, but just for like a total of 10 days. I wish I'd gotten to stay longer, but I might get to go again this year. I keep having
I
people
I
tell
love
me that
Arizona, bro.
I don't want to go to the US right now
No, me neither.
because everything's yeah, right. Hewkii was actually one of the people who told me this. I don't want to go to the US right now because everything's going crazy. But yeah, you seem
I
to be
could
getting
respect
along
it.
just fine.
Yeah, the U.S. We're definitely in some questionable times, for sure. You know, like the gas in California, to my knowledge, like the gas prices right now. I don't know what it is in Icelandic currency, but it's like 8 US dollars per gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
what they're
think it's
looking
on
at
its
in
way
like
up,
LA.
no? It's
Yeah,
still rising.
the inflation's so bad in California right now. I think it might go up, it might stay where it is. Really don't know. I honestly I don't live in California anymore. I just hear this from people.
Uh,
But yeah, I've heard it's getting pretty bad. I mean, the minimum wage out there, jobs are like averaging out at like 20 an hour just because it's so expensive to live in California.
Mm.
well, so you're gonna be spending all your money on gas.
Yeah, they're kind of like the whoopee cushion of inflation,
Oh my
to be
God.
honest.
Well, yeah, man. Tornado season. I'm curious about that though.
Yeah, last year, so we only had one, so we had an EF3 in Selmer. I think only killed like two or three people. It was a bad one because Tennessee is known for nocturnal tornadoes. Um, I am terrified of them as ever since I was a kid. I have had nightmares about tornadoes far before living in a tornado state. But then I moved to literally Dixie Alley, which is a little bit off of Tornado Alley. And Tennessee is known for night tornadoes, which I think, the creator or God should have made illegal. That's not fair, bro. We don't even get
Yeah.
to see when we die.
That's too much power. Like,
Okay.
come on.
I feel like there's a segue here into your music, perhaps. Is there any way in which this fear of tornadoes has influenced your music creation? Sounds like it was a pretty big
The
one.
very, very recent stuff, I would say so, because, I just watched this video. It's called A Dead Man Walking Tornado. And basically, there's a Native American legend. I'm not a tribal member, so I don't know the exact story, but I will tell you. It's based on, like, if you do see a dead man walking tornado, which is a multi-vortex tornado that literally looks like it's walking like that. It's so creepy. Like, I watched a
Something we
video of
had
it,
our
and
Stranger Things.
It's, dude, it's straight out of a different world because they have this legend that if you see him, you're gonna die. And I was thinking of sampling the video that talks about that for one of the newer tracks, right? For like, the huge bass part because I make big droning bass music. It's not, it's nothing crazy, but it's Witch House at its core.
Yeah. Well, I want to kind of dive into. I didn't really know Witch House before we connected. Um, and there's so many genres out there, and
Yeah, I honestly just don't. I think I guess there are some people listening right now who are asking themselves the same thing. I have no idea what that genre entails exactly.
Yeah, so Witch House was created like very early 2010s, I want to say. It was actually so it was just a bunch of MySpace producers making like dark electronic music that this guy Picture Plane coined the name Witch House. He's like, you guys make Witch House. And first they just like stuck with it. But ever since then, it's sort of taken cut. It has like other cousin electronic genres like wave music, etc. And Witch House is just meant to be really droning bass music with dark vocal samples, dark like horror movie samples. It's basically made to be like occult electronic music.
Right, right. So like haunted house, witch house.
You could put it that as that. I could think of a couple artists
I
that you would definitely like hear in a haunted house.
they're
Black
go with,
ceiling.
yeah, go
but
go
I
for
mean,
that.
it's dark, but it's kind of like it's wavy. It's not dark in the same sense as black metal. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
because black metal is just you're raging, you're tremolo picking like
Yeah.
an MF, and then with Witch House, it's kind of the opposite take, where instead of it being like super blast beat all the time and just fast and triplets, it's more like droning, so it's like under 100 BPM a lot of the time.
Hmm. Mhm.
Yeah, and it seems like one of the main characteristics is like this very juicy, layered bass that's at the center, and it doesn't do a lot. It usually just stays on a note, but it's
Yeah,
extremely
so
powerful.
one guy I can recommend that you check out is probably if you want like the more juicier bass lines would be Axius Link. He spells it with like a triangle as the A. Um, He does, so I think he was like a drum and bass producer or something because his bass sounds a lot like an old school drum and bass from like 2010. But he was one of the big ones that got me into it. I would say him, Sidewalks and Skeletons, which at this point everybody knows who he is because they've heard that song Goth on TikTok.
Yeah, we're not
But
on TikTok. We're we're
I
boomers.
recently got off TikTok because I felt my brain starting to fry. I was just like, this is too much for me,
I'm
bro.
glad I never got on there. Anyway,
Yeah, I
Uh,
couldn't recommend it.
we're the Facebook generation.
oh yeah. Wait, what year were you born actually, Jared, if I may ask?
Oh yeah, so I was born in 2001, so I'm 25.
I see. Okay, yeah. You're 3 years younger than us.
But time moves so much faster. Time is accelerating. So like 3 years in this kind of pace of
Yeah.
technological development is like it's
Oh, for
quite a lot.
sure,
There's
Flies
bro.
like gotta
flies
be a
really
bit of
fast.
a
Dude, I just turned 28 the other day, and
Do
I
you feel
think
weird about
I
it? Because
just
I felt weird turning 25, and I just turned 25
definitely,
in February.
man, our birthdays are, I'm in March, so on the 11th. It's the 22nd as we're recording this.
Hmm.
Yeah, it feels like I've passed the point of no return to until I'm 30. You know what I mean? It just
It's
feels
no
like
man's
I'm just
land.
slipping so fast now. It's like 28. Oh, I'm more than halfway there since 25, and it just feels like I'll be 30 after I turn a corner.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
basically, it's kind of like when you hit Sunday, it's basically Monday, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Because
mean,
you
I'm
don't have
I'm
a
thir
buffer
I'm
day
30 if
after.
you round. Yeah, I'm 30 if you round to the nearest tenth, bro. Which is already a weird feeling. So I'm like, damn, bro, I'm closer to being 30 than I am being like 18 again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't hit me anymore at all because I decided when I was like, yeah, your age, basically 25 or 26, I was like, okay, I'm just a boomer now. and,
Pretty much.
and I
Wow.
decided I'm just gonna cash in my midlife crisis. That's why I'm, doing a lot of the
Yeah,
stuff I always
just
wanted to do, getting tattooed and pierced. And I was like, okay, I don't want to do this when I'm 40. The motorbike should be next. So, it's
Uh, oh, I can't wait
I
for that
definitely I
version
definitely
of
want a
Helga.
motorcycle, but not super allowed to get it because I am a full-time dad and it's a bit of a debate in my family if I can get a motorcycle.
I see.
Tennessee is known for horrible drivers, so like I get it.
Yeah.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Ah,
man.
they're so cool though. Yeah.
Yeah, I love, I love good old American motorcycles. I love Harleys. I love Indians, the brand Victory. I love big dramatic bikes just as much as I love like, the crotch rock hits like Hayabusas, R1s, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
man. I wish that the thing that's come closest for me in that department was when I bought like a really beat up freaking almost dead scooter in Vietnam and I drove it around for a couple weeks. And that was hilarious. Um, Came back and we
I
were like,
fell I
how do
fell
we
off of
how do
one
we
of those a
survive?
few times.
You did? Oh wait,
Yeah,
have you?
me and a good friend of mine in California. He was my neighbor, so we hung out all the time after school. And one day he got this white and teal Yamaha moped.
Oh
And
yeah.
there was this one time
I
we
had a
had this
Yamaha as
local
well.
spot. We had this local spot called Simpson Park, which is up a hill because California's. I lived in a valley, so like you're around a bunch of hills. It was up on the top. We took a corner way too fast and we ate shit. Like
Yeah.
it was so bad. I had like a whole rash like on my arm and my shirt had a hole in it at the top. It was bad. And
It's
then we couldn't get anyone to help us because there was no phone service.
Oh my God. Dude, that just so reminds me of one of the stories from North Vietnam when we were driving around there. We took off to the next town and we didn't have any breakfast and we were getting really hungry and we super duper underestimated how much longer it was going to take to get from A to B on these shitty ass scooters than with a car. You know, we just trusted Google Maps when they said, "Oh, it's going to be 3 hours," and then like 7 hours later, we're still freaking just our asses so sore because it was our first day riding for a long time. And
Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna feel like you can't walk after that.
yeah,
It's kind
and
of like
then
riding a horse though, because I feel like those horse saddles, if you're not used to riding them, like they're gonna chap your butt cheeks a little bit. You're gonna be
dude, yeah,
hurting.
bikes as well. Anything you kind of gotta get your butt used to it for a second before you can really get down to business. Don't take
Definitely.
that
I
when
wanted
you're
to
trying
ask you
to
guys an
exit.
Icelandic question.
Oh, bring it.
What is the fermented shark that's notoriously horrible?
Oh wait, did you listen to our episode with Martin Ball?
I think so. I have not listened much just because I work super late and I come home and go straight to sleep.
No, I mean,
Okay, okay.
it would be a hilarious coincidence if you hadn't listened to that episode because
I
we
don't
talk
think I
about it
have. I
on
I
that
heard
one
the
as well.
fermented shark thing from some random like
It,
Viking
it's like
documentary.
such a
Uh,
frequently asked question as an Icelander. I love it.
I really want to know because I'm such a food head. Like I love cooking a lot and I would be open to trying it, but I've just heard it's horrible. Like it's
Yeah,
not good.
it's not a good time. No. Well, Helgi, do you want
And
to say
like
I
something?
mean,
people that go out of their way to eat it are seen as like performative. It's like, bro, you're forcing yourself to like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Ain't no way you do.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, my grandpa enjoys it. I believe. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to show off as well. But I don't get
Well, I
that
think it's
vibe from
also
him.
like it's
Just
with any sensation, people can kind of develop a taste for it. People like all sorts of weird shit, just because it's like they've come to kind of become familiar with it in some sense. But I
mm,
mean, this is, people used to eat this shit back in the day because people didn't have a lot of options about what to eat in Iceland. So, and they had to preserve their food because we have long ass winters and, you gotta
yeah, I
find
like to
ways.
say you just gotta make the food so disgusting that even the bacteria won't eat it.
Doesn't want
And
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was the strategy. So mo mostly traditional Icelandic food like that is not really a good time, like on the whole, I should
No,
say.
I mean, there are some good ones that kind of made it through the cracks,
Yeah.
but usually kind of the
There's
fermented stuff is it's not my
there's
cup of
more
tea.
recent dishes that have kind of come to be with the kind of improved fishing technology in the 1940s. And
Hmm.
those are kind of nice, like plock fish good. That one's really nice. It's just basically like this fish potato stew. It's really good, with some cheese.
But I mean,
The
with
one thing I have had from Iceland is like lamb. Is
Oh
just
yeah,
because you guys have way less like genetically modified lamb than we do. Like if you
yeah.
get lamb from like a local supermarket out here. it's gonna just be so fatty and stressed out. But like every year, my girl's family they go to Iceland and they always bring back lamb, like
Yeah.
specifically from there. They'll bring like a suitcase of just all the stuff they want to bring back because
It's
they'll get
so
like the
good.
snacks, the liquor that tastes like black licorice. I don't know what it's called. I sent
Yeah.
Helgi a
Opal.
picture of it.
Opal, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they buy that stuff. It's super good.
Yeah.
And then those
Oh,
like the star chips that I sent you,
oh yeah.
Helgi.
Stjörnusnack. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
That's a
No,
classic.
but you're raising a good point. Is usually the stuff, the good food in each given country is the food that's native to the land. So like the chicken here is
definitely.
usually not
But
great
the
at all.
lamb, because the
But the lamb,
lamb, they just allow him to roam in the
yeah,
country in the mountains, for
Yeah,
months.
so they're not stressed
Yeah,
out like the way that they
exactly.
are out here.
And they're
Because we
just
have
out
the
there absorbing the energy of the land, so to speak, just eating the wild grass, etc. And then they're bringing that back, and then we're eating the meat off of that. I mean, it's so high quality. It's amazing.
Yeah, I actually for a brief moment worked at I'm not gonna incriminate myself or get sued, so I'm not gonna say the brand, but I worked at a really big chicken company in America. Like they're one of the big distributors. Yeah, the way that they do the chickens, oh hell no.
Yeah.
Like I will not buy from this brand at all just because I was there for the process and like I see what they do with all the spare parts and whatnot that they don't use.
Mm,
And I've just seen like so many just like chickens just get dumped because they didn't match like a QC spec or whatever.
mm.
And but like the chicken breasts out here are giant because they're so plugged up with GMOs that like a chicken breast does not need to be like, almost a foot long. Because the
yeah. But you
chicken
make more
itself is
money,
only about
man.
2 feet tall.
But you don't
Yeah,
Jeez.
make as
they're
much
screwing with
money.
it. They're screwing with it because we be buying the chicken breast like the frozen pack because it's like the least tampered with that we can get right now. But even though when you thaw it out, you can see the needle marks of where they're injecting it with water to sell the weight because
Uh,
that's where they get you. But when you thaw out the whole bag, you have to dump out probably so much juice. It's insane.
mm.
Mm.
Our food is not as good as yours, bro. Ours is goop.
You know what? There we go. Yes, that's exactly. I mean, it's a bit of an insult to the goop to put
Yeah.
it like that, but I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, I didn't
there's
mean to
goop in
insult
the
the goop,
literal
you know.
sense, and then there's the goop. It's not the same.
True, true. Yeah,
Uh,
that's okay. I can accept that explanation. This
I
is
would
like
just say
goop
it's
canon.
slop.
Yeah,
It's just
Slop.
lard.
Oh yeah, that's the word of the year 2025. They have like this, word of the year that kind of encapsulates each year, and I think was it 2025 was brain rot. Um, I don't know. I just looked at this recently, but I
but what
forgot
a
most of
what
those.
an amazing like just light of positivity.
Yeah, but it's very
These
descriptive
words.
of like what's happening, and now it's slop because you have all the AI just like vomiting all this content out, and
AI slop. Slop
yeah.
is just
Oh,
you.
one thing I wanted to get into on this podcast
Okay, cool.
was AI and just how
Yeah,
you guys, because not gonna name no names in my genre, but I will say a lot of people are definitely overusing the hell out of AI to
yeah,
the point it's sort of losing how organic the art was. Like,
yeah,
Witch House was always rebelling against like that. It's kind of like the punk rock. Citadel Black put
yeah,
it perfect. It's kind of like the punk rock of electronic music because it's supposed to be like IDGAF type shit.
yeah,
But now, a lot of these new producers, they're trying to be all polished production and trying to sound
yeah,
all flashy, and they're using this like AI crap.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty against it
yeah, me
personally.
too. That's the thing. I used to really try and keep an open mind and like, okay, I mean, there's different ways of making music, but like, I've just come to the conclusion I don't like it, and I kind of look at it like cheating. And people can have different opinions, but that's how I see it.
I think it's yes. I was gonna leave this to you really, Helki, to respond to because I don't yet feel super duper affected because I don't make electronic music.
Yeah,
I make live acoustic music mostly, with a band and like I'm a jazz musician mainly or a pop jazz artist. So and you can still kind of tell when AI has
oh yeah,
created that stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I don't mind, but I perhaps when it gets to that level, it'll be a bit scary.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it
AI is
honestly,
is.
already scary, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it is definitely more kind of threatening feeling for electronic music because it's easier to imitate. But I guess my take is basically just what makes music interesting is the fact that it's actually hard to make. And when you just kind of the training wheels become so sophisticated that you can just elevate everybody that doesn't have any skill up to being able to have a professional result. It just
it's
defeats the whole purpose.
it's like The Incredibles. If
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's a
Pretty much.
superhero, then no one
yeah, and
is.
this I like to draw the analogy of World of Warcraft. I used to play that game a lot, and in the earlier versions of the game, like the only people who had like crazy good armor and weapons were people that like played the game all the time and were like proper just nerds. And when you'd see somebody with like crazy armor and weapons, you'd be like, God damn, like this is a proper nerd over there. But then over time, it's just like they had to appeal to everybody. So at some point, everybody had cool armor, and you're like, okay, yeah, cool armor, whatever. Like the fact that something is special is the fact that it's not so easy to come by. So I that definitely does get under my skin, and it gets under my skin when people like that don't have any skill in music are using AI to create music and then want to kind of put themselves into the conversation of like, oh, I created this. I'm on par with musicians that are creating
Yeah,
music.
they're the answer to a question nobody asked.
Yeah, right. Like to me, it's kind of like you're running a marathon, and uh, everybody's kind of on the same playing field, and somebody shows up and competes in the marathon in a fucking car and just drives like, oh, I completed the marathon.
I did it.
Like, yeah, no, cool car. You know how to drive. You know how to use the AI, but it's just not the same conversation as people because when you're running a marathon you have to overcome the limitations of the human body, and it's the same when you're creating music. You have to walk the miles. You have to create the music, and that is what makes it interesting, and that is what gives it a value when it's just you know
It's the process of getting good at something that
yeah,
is the beautiful aspect of it.
yeah.
'Cause I mean, I
Yeah.
put a ridiculous amount of hours into just hyper fixating on producing and
Oh,
like
me too.
what. And then even like when I was playing guitar a lot, 'cause I used to play guitar in bands and stuff like that. But when I was playing guitar a lot, I would literally hyper fixate on things that I'm interested in. And then I think with guitar, what sort of slowed that down and why I don't play as much as I used to, it's probably just like body aches, honestly. But I still pick it up every now and then because I love playing, slow, sludgy doom metal.
Yeah.
Wait, let's get into that. Uh, uh, Perhaps after that, this point that I want to dive into right now, I felt very inspired to dive into. Oh God, I thought of it and then it disappeared. What were you saying?
I was talking
Playing the
about
guitar,
just like
getting good at
doom metal
stuff.
and guitar and
Right,
getting
yeah.
good.
Where's the line? Like, where's the line? Because I can imagine there are some menial mixing tasks, for example, that where you'd have no problem delegating that to the AI, just being like, yeah, whatever, you take care of that. Or perhaps even the mixing on the whole, where you'd be able to make some slight tweaks on the mix afterwards, after the AI kind of, you just say to the AI, you go, well, just kind of give this a rough mix, make it sound, industry standard more or less, go for it, balance everything out, EQ and master it even, and and then you'd kind of tweak it around if you're not quite happy with it, but it would have gotten most like 80% of the work done. Would that be
Yeah.
worth it, and would that still be okay? I'm talking like not. You see what I mean? Like
Yeah,
not
yeah.
taking
No,
Yeah,
it
I
no,
as
get
it's
a
I get what
whole
you're
and it's
creative
it's
process.
ultimately it's subjective because it's like who's to determine what's okay or not. I'm just saying my opinion about it. I'm not happy about the fact that those things are just um more easily accessible because I like that it's difficult to get a good sounding song. I
Right.
like that
exactly.
it's
I'm with
rare.
that point.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
So,
like, when you're screwing around with your tube amp and trying to get that perfect fucking setting.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. It's like I like twiddling with the knobs till I get the sound that I want. AI can't relate because it's not sentient. I'm sentient, so I'm going for a sound that's in my head.
Yeah.
And it's same thing with Eddie Van Halen. Like I use him as a big example of like why AI sucks because Eddie Van Halen, for one thing, built his own guitar. He designed the Brown sound, and then he like basically made this new era of guitar playing. It's like AI can't do that. It takes a
Yeah.
human to do that.
yeah.
It takes a
Yeah.
human to break the fucking rules and make breaking the rules okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
Totally.
AI can't break its own rules.
if anything, is there anything that you would consider delegating to AI in the music
Mm.
creation process?
I mean, for me, it is it is an interesting conversation. I mean, my next album is going to be called The Creative Line, precisely because of this question of like technology. The point of technology is always delegating. Like the reason cavemen invented spears is so they don't have to grapple with the animals with their bare hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Humans always invent their own shortcuts.
yes, but the thing is, like the show, the movie Wall-E. Have both of you seen that movie?
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
love that movie
amazing.
so
So
much.
it shows kind of the logical conclusion of delegating everything. The humans in the spaceship that just live in these hovering chairs that feed them and provide them entertainment, and everything is done for them. It's there's just always something lost. And there was a great video by a channel called After School. You know, I don't know if you know this channel where they kind of
Yeah.
draw, with some kind of a speech. And it's called "How AI Sloth Will Spark the Next Human Renaissance," and it's really interesting on this precise topic.
Mm.
Um,
And what
and I
can you
kind of lost my train
summarize?
of thought.
I
Um,
have a very adjacent perspective to that because I feel like what AI is going to do is it's going to push the humans to make this new underground type of thing. And I'm already kind of seeing this a little tiny bit, because you like when I see these new I call them AI artists if they use AI art to post their music on SoundCloud. To me, they're just AI artists, but um, I think what's gonna happen is like AI is only gonna be a threat to like mainstream music. It's gonna make the
yeah,
need for like idolizing these pop stars that don't have good messages. They don't have really like a good background per se, which is why you're finding a lot of them are canceled. A lot of them are on, certain files. But yeah. I think I think the AI thing is just gonna it's only a threat to pop musicians because at the end of the day,
yeah,
I don't think AI is even a slight threat to Witch House. I don't think it's even a slight
yeah,
threat to people that are creators, people that have no,
yeah,
like you have no genre. You just do what you want. Like AI could never do
yeah.
that. AI is not gonna harm you at
It's not
all.
actually creative. It's just compiling different parts of other creations in a sense. It
Yeah,
doesn't really
and
come up with new things.
AI's limitations are still that of humans because at the end of the
Yeah,
day, it's only going based off our research, which is how it can
yeah.
taper an answer to your question.
Yeah. I mean, I think the essential point of it, and I recommend everybody watch it because it's very interesting, is that essentially what AI is doing is that it's making people hungry for something that's real because we're just being fed. And
Yeah.
AI didn't invent this. Just been fed a bunch of fake stuff for a while, and it's just getting kind of
Dude,
hyper
yeah, I've been
charged by the
feeling
AI.
that
So,
so hard with the AI
yeah,
ads on YouTube right now. Oh
yeah.
my
You just
God.
give me a human talking about Tai Chi. Enough of
Yeah.
these overly buff, shiny Asian dudes. Yeah,
Yeah,
If you want
AI
muscle
is
pains, go to the gym. If you want to be
AI
really
is
strong, you
just
do Tai Chi. You
yeah.
5 days, you will feel stronger. 10 days, you
this
start
sounds like your
seeing your.
average like metaphysical YouTuber ad.
Yeah, yeah.
But bro, I don't know,
Uh,
man. This thing with these AI commercials,
yeah.
I hate that sometimes I see an AI video that's so funny. I'm just like, man, I feel so bad for laughing because this is such slop, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is such like bullshit to watch. And I'm
On the
noticing
opposite
like
perspective, that's like racism on the hands of AI. It's like they actually did
Yeah.
something good but because they're AI.
And now they have
And they're like,
slurs
no, this is
for
slop. This is.
hey, I always say the same thing with if aliens came to Earth. It's like if we're already racist to each other, like imagine being like speciest or I
Yeah,
don't. That's not even a word, bro. But I'm making it a
speciest.
word for the sake of this conversation.
I like it.
Yeah, no, totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like
I don't like it, but
if we don't like people that aren't the same color as us, how the hell are we gonna like people from a different freaking planet or
yeah,
different, maybe under the
people who
ocean,
aren't
whatever
Oh,
the
even
fuck
there's
the alien.
people.
yeah. I'm gonna recommend another great video by Leo Gura called "Sameness versus Difference," where he actually just goes just super deep. It's like 4 or 5 hour like deep dive into sameness versus difference. And he was talking about, he was taking the example of like the Israelis and the Palestinians. They're really caught up in their differences. But if there was an alien life that came in and was threatening to those people, they'd forget their differences pretty fast because the contrast to that other life, the differences are so much starker than the differences between those two nations
Because
that,
at the end of the day, they're still part of the same planet, so they're
yeah,
defending more like their home rather than their
Yeah,
political and
because the
religious
differences between
ideologies.
those nations would just pale in comparison to the differences between humans and that other life form.
Okay,
Um,
but I have an interesting point to kind of piggyback off of this one with, which is that I just read a book called I don't remember. I might share it later. It was an interesting book about how to kind of get on the same page with people that you disagree with, essentially. And it talked about, among many other things, the fact that groups that are only slightly dissimilar dislike each other more than groups that are way more dissimilar. Like, for example, you have vegetarians and vegans at war with one another because the vegans are going, you phonies, you
It's
gotta,
righteousness
you
at the end
know,
of the day.
exactly. And the vegetarians are just like, holy crap, guys, take it easy over there. God damn. And they go at each other way harder than they would go at each other with somebody who's neither a vegan or a vegetarian, because they have like, they mostly agree we got to protect the animals, but one group is a little more extreme and therefore they just, um, the similarity makes them more dislikable to each other when there's just one little difference that gets in the way of them reaching an understanding. Um, it's also an interesting point, I think, in contrast to the point that you just raised, Helgi, which obviously, if an alien force were to invade in the Middle East,
I
then
would say that's pretty similar to kind of like how American politics work,
mm,
which I won't go too deep on that because it's no ending. But
it's
yeah, it's a rabbit
one thing
hole.
I will say though is like I do feel like at the end of the day, just from people I know that follow this sort of ideology, like I'm pretty open to anybody's point of view, but socialists, like hardcore socialists and then hardcore like Democrats or liberals, like
Oh yeah.
they might have their own internal disagreements, but one thing's for sure, they both hate Republicans.
oh yeah.
They hate them. And I think it's hilarious because I think politics are stupid. And I'm just sitting back watching this, kind of like that Will the what is it the Willy Wonka meme from like the early 2000s. I'm
Oh
kind
yeah,
of just
yeah,
like sitting back,
yeah.
I just be thinking like, we all
A really
suck.
active listener.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like we all suck, bro. Can we just like navigate together instead of try to like be BFFs?
I mean,
Because
Yeah.
it all stems from righteousness and ego,
And
really. It's just
projection
someone,
also. That's a big
yeah,
one. It's like
projection,
not
100%.
noticing that what you hate in another person is probably present within yourself as well.
Yeah, and the reason you hate it in them is because you hate it in yourself.
Yeah.
mhm.
But to be fair, if I was in America, like I'm in Iceland and I'm like I've had it with the Trump people. Like just no. I just like just gets
Yeah,
under my skin to no end. I
I
definitely
mean,
try also not to.
I'm in the great state of Tennessee, bro. Like, you can bet your ass when we have Trump people.
Yeah. And, so I think it's also a trap that just um yeah, in that video, sameness versus difference, he talks about like there's sameness pathologies and difference pathologies where you can actually overemphasize the sameness in a certain situation of like, oh, it's all the same, or you can overemphasize the difference. So like you can kind of go wrong in both directions because sometimes there are important differences and sometimes there's a deeper sameness that's worth paying attention to.
I agree. This actually just reminded me of this story, but I will tell you, when I first moved out to Tennessee, I was going to like some liquor store, just picking up a little pint. But when I showed them my ID, because at the time I did have a California ID. So when I showed them my ID, one of the dudes that was in the back, he's like, "You know where you're at, son?" I was like, "Yeah, I just moved here, so I might know where I'm at, thank you." And then he's like, "Well, we don't need you bringing your libtard beliefs from California out here. This is one of the last states where we got the good gun laws." And I'm like, "Bro, it ain't that damn serious." But that's really how like some interactions I've had out here are. It's like, "Oh, you're from California, you must be a libtard." It's like, "No,
Limp.
dude, I
I've
just
never heard
happen to
this
be from
word.
California."
A limp tart. A limp tart with a
Oh,
P. Is that what that is?
no, it's a lip
Sorry,
tart. It's like
my daughter
liberal.
opened the door.
A lip tart. Oh,
Yeah.
greetings to your daughter.
Yeah, she's cool. She's just hanging out right now.
You better
But
not raise her to be a lip tart.
Yeah.
We don't want no
no,
lip tart.
I don't even want to raise her in the great state of
Yeah.
Tennessee because honestly, like the school systems out here, hell no.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Which,
So
no offense to anyone that lives out here. I'm not talking shit about them. I'm just talking shit about the really ignorant people that are like, oh, you got California ID, like, those type of folks.
Oh man, that's gotta be so annoying though. I mean, the
It
people
is
just bringing
annoying,
it up with
like,
you, like of their own accord, being like, "Goddamn Californians," But
what's funny too is like I have a Tennessee ID, but I guess like I still get told like you don't look like you're from here. And I'm like, what
really,
does being from here look like? I don't
yeah,
exactly know what you're saying. Is it because of I don't talk like you? And it's funny because I like this is why I think like America is the funniest place on earth because if you go state to state, they're literally different countries. The culture is different state to state. It's like you can't compare Arizona to New York without them being like completely different.
yeah,
New York, you got like those really like stoic people that are just like they don't give a fuck. And then like you go to Arizona, they're a lot more chill, kind of like desert off-road folks. But then in Tennessee, you have like I'm considerably in the deep south. We know we're not far from the Appalachian Mountains, and so, you've heard the stories of the Appalachia, but yeah, so I do think like state to state America's a different country because I just watched a video about how like because I've played in Salt Lake City and I found out that like because Mormonism is such a big religion out there, like that's like the dominant religion Utah. They don't have like regular bars. They have soda bars because Utah people are so addicted to soda. I watched like this whole documentary on it. It's so funny
wait,
though how
what? They're like
okay.
Germany.
But this is so interesting because you're
Huge thing
from
down
America,
here
so
as
you
well.
really notice all the fine-grained differences. But somebody, for example, coming from Iceland may feel like
Like how the
they're all very
farmer
similar.
recognizes all his sheep, but
Huh?
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I feel like maybe Europeans and like people from elsewhere, they may look at America as like a generalization, but in my opinion, the real America is the state of Texas. Everything outside of it is just neighbors.
it's just
Like when I went to Texas, that was the most patriotic I've ever felt in my life. Because you had people from all religions, all walks of life, hanging out at bars, talking shit to each other, and it was so cool. I love Texas. I would love to live there if it wasn't terrifying from the weather.
just
Because I drove through a tornado in Texas when I moved to Tennessee.
no way.
We couldn't hear the sirens though because the hail was so loud. The hail was like golf ball sized
Oh shit.
and denting cars. We had to literally park under a bridge just to like kind of wait out the storm a little bit because the wind was bad and it was just hailing. It literally felt like we were in hell. And it
This
turned
is
the sky turned dark red.
what?
Shit, dog.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's Texas. But I felt so patriotic when I came out of that. I'm like, I just survived Texas. Like,
Freedom.
That's that's crazy because like Iceland, we kind of feel like we got bad weather over here, and to some degree we do because it's fucking cold.
and you have like 3 months of darkness where they leave Christmas lights on.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's brutal in that way. It's definitely more tough to survive here before all the technology came. But we don't have this kind of extreme shit. Like the hail we have is very polite.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like as no, the hail out here ain't fucking around, bro.
Oh shit.
It will like I was driving like just a tiny ass little Hyundai at the time. And like the hail literally sounded like my car was getting golf balls hit at it.
Oh,
It
shit.
was so fucking loud.
But
That's
what did you do with
crazy.
the car afterwards? Like,
The car was fine. I was so surprised that it wasn't like dented to shit
yeah.
because I did see a car pull off on the side of the road that was because of the hail. But then I looked at my car was fine. But oh my
Well,
God, that was the scariest drive. And then on top of that, when you go to Texas, everybody is driving like 100 miles an hour, which I don't exactly know how much in kilometers that is, but
like a little more,
Yeah.
120.
it's
Right.
fast as hell.
Yeah, it's very yeah.
And we're going through this damn storm and these big rig trucks while the road is completely flooded because the road was flooded. We had to go like probably 30 the whole highway. These big ass trucks, these 18-wheeler semis are flying at like at least 90 through the water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I feel like these people are just built different.
Those guys have seen everything, man. They've been doing that for so long, just driving trucks. They're not. They couldn't give a single fuck, honestly. They just.
My dad was a truck driver, bro. He told me
Yeah,
all the weather horror stories.
yeah, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, he drove for a business that's no longer existent, but it was called PHS in Temecula, California.
Uh,
Professional Hospital Supplies. It was just
w-
delivering freight to hospitals, really.
would he have hit the 90 miles per hour through that storm?
Probably.
Yeah.
My dad was like pretty like doesn't give a fuck type of person.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, America is fucking wild, and I'm definitely looking forward to going there, which I expect to do quite soon.
Have you
Um,
never been there?
no.
Oh my God, Hewkii.
You're in for a surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
jeez. It's such a freaking trip, dude. I mean, I went there for the first time in my life October last year, and I gotta tell you a little bit about the story now, because it is quite a hilarious one. Because my reason for going was that I'm a bass player primarily, and I was asked to play the bass in a little party cover band for Oktoberfest in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Lufthansa Air Base, which is a German flight, a German airline, Lufthansa, and they want to do an Oktoberfest out in the U.S. as well because they're a German airline. So they get a German band in, and I live in Germany, but I'm Icelandic, and I need to wear these like Oktoberfest clothes and just basically pretend to be German and represent Germany in the US as an Icelander, which was freaking hilarious. And it's such a trip to be in the US for the first time because you've seen all the movies, you've heard all the music. I think me and Helgi have talked about this at length. But it's so, and then when you actually get there, you're like, yeah, I have a pretty good idea of what I'm getting myself into. I know this stuff. I've been Americanized, subtly and not so subtly all of my life as a resident of a small European country. We have no defenses against Hollywood because that's just such a huge industry and such a huge export. And then you get there and it's like uncanny valley. It's like what you expected, but not quite. It's slightly just the vibe of actually being there in person in the country where the native people are Americans or the residents of the country are Americans. It's just such a trip because every time I've met an American before in my life, it's been in the context of like in some other country where they're a foreigner and I'm a foreigner as well, or they're a foreigner in my country, or and then I go over there and it's like I'm a foreigner in the country of the Americans, and there is more or less nothing but Americans around me, and it's such a like I don't know, it's a mean thing to say perhaps, but it's funny to meet Americans in person because all the reference point you have to Americans as a non-American is Hollywood movies mostly. And so when you actually meet an actual real human being in real life from the US, it's like it's it's hard to take him seriously as like a real person because all you can see is just like a movie character essentially. Um,
Also, Americans have a
it's
tendency to
really
be
funny.
kind of performative uh, in their expressions, or like they can be very almost over the top expressive sometimes. It's almost like everybody is
They
a.
have a lot of swag.
It's true,
Dude,
yeah.
this actually brought up something really funny. So, my girl told me this, but she basically was explaining how when her mom got to America and was like in these English classes, because, she only spoke Icelandic. They told you that whenever an American says, "Hi, how are you?" you're only supposed to say good and leave it at good because they don't actually give a fuck. They're not asking
Yeah.
you. They don't care how you are. So you just say good. But like nobody questions it if you're like a foreigner in America.
Yeah,
Like everybody's just gonna be like, okay, maybe they just like don't understand the language. But in reality, it's just everybody knows we don't give a shit when we say, "How are you?"
yeah. It's
Yeah.
I
I
have
mean,
seen an
That, that's
American's
a that's a
eyes.
that's a true thing, bro. Americans are rude as hell.
it
I
is
mean,
very individualistic in that sense, is that it's just you're kind of on your own in a certain sense. Like you guys don't have the same kind of, you're very communophobic, I guess.
but
Where
there's
you're,
Oh
also
yeah.
there's a big idea that you should serve your local community as well, right? Which I feel is missing in some sense in Europe to a large extent. There's like a more. Do you kind of know what I'm getting at? I mean, I
Yeah,
see
I
what you're
get you,
saying,
bro.
Helgi, but yeah. 'Cause for example, okay, this is a Canadian I'm gonna talk about now, but I think the same thing applies more or less for the U.S. A good friend of mine has his girlfriend is half Icelandic, half Canadian, and they were at her family's place in Canada, and he was this friend of mine was telling me the story. He thought it was the most funny. Thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. So they're out somewhere with his girlfriend's family, and somebody needs to take a group photo, and they're like, they just throw out the question like, is anybody willing to volunteer to not be in the picture and just take the picture of everybody else? And one, I don't remember who it was, but somebody like an older, like, above middle-aged man in the family goes, anything I can do to serve my community. Yeah, that was
It's
like you'd never ever hear that in Europe, nobody says that. It's just
well, because I would say like America is a no, they're nosy, like they're nosy people in my experience. Because I mean, me being from California in Tennessee, like I'm a bit of a minority just because I don't walk, talk, and act like these people. So when I'm at work and like if I say just something I'm used to saying with my friends, they're like, "Oh, that's that Cali talk." I was like, "Bro." Like
Cali talk.
these people are so like hyper fixated on outsiders. So like, you know, kind of like I guess in your both of your cases, if you both came to America like together at the same time, you guys would kind of feel like you're like your own little tribe in this bubble, and like like then Americans are like outside of the bubble, and that's how I feel just being in Tennessee in America. I'm still in America, but I'm still in this like bubble of like I'm different than these people. I was raised differently, like I'm culturally different, just in general. And
So
but these Tennessee people, they're so damn nosy. They ask everything about you. Because it's small town stuff. I mean, I assume Reykjavik is not super big, you know, but
no, but it's not quite small
Europeans and
town vibe.
Japanese they're more, what's the word? Like sort of distanced or,
Yeah,
maybe
more formal.
conservative towards, each other's business and whatnot. They're more like not so nosy. But America's like,
Yeah.
we gotta know everything about you
Hmm.
right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a strong, I guess, in group out group dynamic going on. Would you describe it
Yeah.
that way? It's kind of like people feel like, they got their tribe, and if you're not really on board with the tribe, you're an outsider.
Yes, exactly, bro. I feel 100% like that because I've been out here for 2 years. I've not really made a single friend out here. I don't really speak to people out here. Like I only really talk to people online because it's just I just don't have anything in common with most people. And so like on top of the fact I don't watch sports and Tennessee's known for like sports and just, competitive stuff. I don't do that. So, it's very hard to like bond. It to me, I feel like I'm in a different country.
Hmm.
Like I feel like I'm from foreign lands and I'm in a different country now because the culture is just so different and people are just way different out here. Even the kind of like the swag, like the drip or whatever, they dress different, they talk different. I mean, but so do I, I'm in their turf at the end of the day. But they definitely like they notice out here when you're not from around here.
Ah,
But I,
man.
I really want to bring back in kind of the sameness difference kind of lens to this
Oh,
discussion
yes.
because I've definitely found myself in these kinds of mindsets before of really kind of fixating on differences, and sometimes they are just glaring differences and they're kind of hard to overcome when, somebody's so different from you, like what common ground can we relate on? But I've found with time that I've gotten better at meeting people where they're at and noticing a deeper level of sameness. And if we take this into the non-duality territory, which we like to do here, it's like everything is actually the same thing. We're just different parts of this one universal being, which means that everything essentially on the deepest level is the same from that perspective. And that has helped me tremendously to kind of when I meet somebody who's just totally different and I have just nothing in common with this person, of approaching it almost as if like, well, now I'm meeting another part of myself and just using that kind of a language to myself, like this is essentially myself that I'm communicating with. That has definitely helped me to just kind of tap into just the part of observation and just getting curious about, okay, this person, I may not like some of their characteristics, but the reason they are the way they are is because they grew up in a certain environment and that has shaped them. And if I had been in the same situation, I would be the same. So from that perspective, I found that kind of tremendously helpful just to kind of bridge the gap or do my best to find some level of sameness where before I may have just been completely stuck on just noticing all the differences. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a
just
good point. That actually it reminds me a lot of in this book right here, the Kybalion. Great book.
oh, this is
When
your logo. That
I like to play tarot with it and just take a random page and make that be my thought of the day. But so yeah, there's a principle in this book where it talks about polarity. Polarity meaning it's one singular line, but there's two degrees. Like everything
yeah,
is separated by degree. But every degree happens because of cause and effect. And it's the the threefold, that triangle, that divine triangle of just like, you know, conditioning equals outcome, and then outcome can be part of one or two polarities. And that's where what reminded me of when you said when you're talking about the sameness and just recognizing that people are products of their environment and that you would be the same in their environment and their
yeah,
conditioning. It's that oneness. It's like no matter what, we're all one, but we're different degrees of one.
yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, 100%. And a really good quote from that video is that everything is the same in that it's different.
Wait. Can we
100%. Sounds like Alan Watts.
can you clarify what you mean by the different degrees? Are we talking about a spectrum, a polarity, and a spectrum in between the two
Yeah,
extremes?
so in the Kybalion, polarity is seen as like, okay, so you have hot and cold, which, they're two different polarities of one thing, which is temperature. But no matter what, they're just the duality. It's like everything tying back to that two. But the one thing that the Kybalion, I had to sort of put this together on my own for it to make sense, but I always feel like the cause and effect is the bottom. So if you have a triangle that's like upside down like that, the cause and effect is the bottom point, and it branches out to meet the 2 points of polarity. And this is why I think like I look into a lot of Celtic culture just because I'm really interested in that stuff. A lot of their art being in a three and then believing in the threefold, which is intention, action, and consequence. Everything is that three, and it's the polarity is the two parts of the triangle that spread out from the one point, which I think is why, like, so many ancient cultures in the world love triangles and just love anything with three.
It's all the Illuminati, man.
No, I mean, yeah,
No.
that they definitely fucked that meaning of that symbol up, but
Yeah.
you know,
I
yeah,
remember when,
I used the logo of the Kybalion on my latest track, Decay. It's the exact same logo, but I sort of like graphic designed it where it was red with the space background. But
right.
yeah, this is
It's
the
very cool.
Philosopher's Stone.
Right.
Ah, right.
Yeah. Now this I whenever we get into the metaphysical territory, that's, when, I get very excited because this is
Yes,
my
man.
jam. And I'm very curious how, because in my case, like when I started to get into spirituality and metaphysics and psychedelics, that changed my approach and orientation towards music in just a huge way. Um, Totally changed my relationship to music. Um, and I'm curious, like what role does this stuff play in your music?
I think the big one for me is, at the end of the day, I'm a kind of just like a nobody just on the internet making dark, witchy music and whatnot. I think what it does for me though is I can sort of convey a message in subtle ways. So, during the my first album, Spirit Room, my first official album, I'll call it. But I had a song on there called We'll Be Okay. And I sampled it was a nuclear arm it was like a nuclear message saying like basically a fake one, but just saying that, we're about to get bombed, we're all about to die. But then I tried to like sort of take the song and start it really, really dark and then, make it end in the light just by progressing the transitions to be like to get more uplifting as the time went on in the song. And I think the metaphysical aspect to that is because everybody can relate to that idea. We're waiting for that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like nobody's really thriving, I would say. Like yeah, we're thriving individually, but like as a collective, we definitely are not.
Hmm.
And I think for, that reason, I think because I understand, so many different walks of life, like I understand how to communicate with religious people, I understand how to communicate with metaphysical kind of spiritual people, and even, atheists, like even just hardcore atheists. I think it's all language. So I think, learning the language of, of people you're trying to understand in a way. Language is a big barrier of what makes us who we are.
Mhm.
What we learn in language, we can have two different ways of saying the same exact message. So my thing is like try to music is the universal language to bring everyone together. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like. Nobody cares about none of that with music because at the end of the day, music is metaphysical. It's literally sound sort of hypnotizing you. Some people, maybe it takes them out into the astral realm. Maybe some songs get people hyped up in the morning and make them have a good day at work. Like that's what I believe in the metaphysical aspects of my music. It's like what service can I provide with it in a way?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna just respond real quick and maybe add something to what you were just saying about your philosophy regarding the duality appearing in your music creation, uh, Mr. Redmoon.
Hmm.
So you said everybody's just waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel, and I always find that very like I think that's really important. There's a really important distinction to make about that precisely because I think if you're in the state of always waiting for something to get better before you can be happy, then I don't see that as necessarily optimal. In fact, I don't I see that as very obviously suboptimal. Like to me, it appears that like I mean I get what you're saying and all about making music to make people's lives better. That's certainly like a noble effort and that's what I'm doing as well. That's why I make music, or that's one of my motivating factors at least. Um, but I find it profoundly important, spiritually speaking, in living a meaningful life and in getting to a better place. I find that the first step that you need to take in that pursuit is to first accept things exactly the way they are, and then magically and effortlessly they change for the better. Has been my experience, and it feels to me of like a very profound, like fundamental spiritual truth about this existence. Would you agree, or at least
Oh,
let me know?
100%.
Yeah,
I'm with that 100% because
Yeah, me too.
there still is, that factor of like accepting, your surrounding environment and, your intention, your actions are what, create the outcome. But that acceptance is very important. You just need to have that ground.
I guess kind of talking about the light in this context or the light at the end of the tunnel. It's people talk about kind of inner hell and outer hell, and you have people that are in outer hell that are not in inner hell, and vice versa. That you can be in beautiful situations on a beach resort somewhere, sipping mojitos, and just be suffering. And you could be, in poverty and not be suffering because you have trained meditation your whole life or whatever. Is the fact that you can actually bring your inner light to any situation, even if the outward situation is not light in that
yeah.
sense. If that makes any sense.
I feel like this really connects back to what we were talking about with regards to AI and delegating menial tasks to it. Um, because it that process, like not using AI at all, not using any tools, just doing it all by yourself, makes the process more arduous. But it's being able to enjoy uh, even the quote unquote boring stuff that kind of
Yeah.
makes it meaningful,
I mean,
you
the
know?
boring part is actually what gives it value in the sense that
Yeah,
when you're running a marathon, it's not fun. It fucking sucks. I've not gone a full marathon,
speak for
but
yourself.
I've run long enough distances to know that by the end it's not fun. But the not fun part is actually what gives the whole thing meaning. And if you just go the distance by car and you get a medal, it's not the same
Yes,
situation.
It
Nothing
yes.
wrong
defeats the
with
purpose.
cars. Yes.
It becomes more meaningful to the ego in that way though. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah,
any
100%. Yeah.
experience is no less or more valuable than any other experience. Is like I feel there's a
Yeah.
deeper point than that one. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, sure. And
I,
this is
I,
this
I
is
think I know what you're saying.
Like how I relate to that is like, yes, from the absolute
It's like even the
perspectives.
suffering of the marathon is a great experience, is what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah, and
100%. Because I mean,
I
it takes the suffering to make the journey.
yeah. Yeah. And
yeah,
it takes suffering. Like you couldn't have one without the other. You can't have a duality. Again, you can't have pleasure without pain.
yeah.
And it's like that great quote from the prophet. I only know this in Icelandic, so I'll probably be paraphrasing the English version of this, the original. But he says something like, "Know that," like somebody asked the prophet about pleasure and pain, I believe, or the English version may use different words. I'm not sure. Um, and he goes, "Know this." At the end of a like a 2 page long speech, he's like, "Know this about pleasure and pain. When one is dining at your dinner table, the other is sleeping in your bed. You cannot have one without the other. The one will always follow the other. If you expand your capacity for experiencing pleasure, you simultaneously expand your capacity for experiencing pain too."
hmm
And that's a pretty hilarious irony, I think, of this
I
experience. And
I have a
again, why it makes it important to be able to appreciate the painful experiences as well, because you can't.
I have a great way to relate this to what we were talking about with Icelandic food.
Oh yeah.
So before the
Oh
day
boy.
before Christmas, it's an Icelandic tradition to eat the fermented ray, which is, it's not
I
too dissimilar from the shark, but it's its own thing.
It's like a
But
stingray,
it's
Stingray,
like a
yeah.
they don't sting
stingray.
here. It's just regular old ray without the sting, I
But
think.
you know, there's the,
Manta
the
ray, I don't
floppy
know.
the floppy
Yeah,
disk
the
fish.
yeah floppy disk fish.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
that one.
exactly that one.
This is
Yeah.
Turns out it
So
tastes like shit if you ferment it. Yeah.
yeah,
who would have thought?
like most things. So the story I was told about the reason why that food is, traditionally eaten the evening before Christmas Day is
Oh yeah.
is the fact that it tastes so horrible, and by contrast, that the Christmas food is going to taste so much greater because
Yeah.
you've got
You're
the
like you're making it savory by eating the shitty food
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
yeah,
So
because now
so
you
the
have a
so you can
slight
slightly
appreciate the good
perspective.
food.
so
You
you
got
can
the
appreciate
contrast.
the slightly less shitty food. Yeah. I suppose. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. That's the story I've been told of why this is a
I
tradition.
think I think I may have told you this even on the podcast,
No, no, no.
maybe.
I
I
no,
don't
I've
know.
heard this a long time
Really?
ago. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know if you
I feel like we've brought
touched
this up
upon
at
it as
some
well.
point.
Yeah,
I
but
really
I wanted to touch on something else because we were kind of at the topic of duality, and you were talking about dark music and stuff, and you said to me the other day, um, that you make dark music and I make light music, and it's got me thinking, like,
interesting.
yeah, I've started to employ dark themes more, and I've always done it at times. But generally, my music is pretty uplifting. And it's also because um, when I was starting to get into psychedelics, I was like reaching out for people for tips, and they told me just listen to uplifting stuff. So that turned like the music I listened to on trips was always just uplifting stuff. So I think that also nudged me on the path of just creating ecstatic, uplifting music. But
It makes
dark
sense though.
yeah, but dark music is like there's so much to explore there, and I think a lot of people, especially kind of a lot of hippie people that you run into, they're really afraid of everything that's kind of dark, and it's almost kind of like this
Oh, it's
germophobic
it's
attitude
bad
of
energy.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad energy,
We
man.
gotta watch out, guys. We might forget to spiritually bypass the shadows.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're all love and light, but we, can't seem to handle our own shadow very well.
yeah, exactly, 100%. So yeah, I just wanted to just kind of steer us a little bit into that because you got me thinking with that comment
Mm.
of a dark
Yeah,
music.
I mean,
What kind of um, put you into the direction of making dark music? Like, what is it about the darkness of the music that's appealing for you?
for me, it's a way to I mean, this is gonna sound very cliche, bro, but
Bring it.
it's basically what I feel all the time. It's just I have one feeling I struggled with since 2012, because not to go too into my dad died pretty early age. So he was a musician that got me into music really. So my path with music took a turn after that, where I started exploring like death metal, black metal, just a lot of more aggressive forms of music. But it never did it for me because I wanted something more elegantly
Mm.
dark rather than, just aggressive dark, which obviously, I have that huge bass sound, so, it sounds aggressive, but to me, it's hypnotic. I like that hypnotic dark. Like, I like to I'll put it in a vision context of what I'm doing when I make music. I think of like a very dark spirit, like maybe a female, like slowly kind of seducing me into the dark, like a serpent. And then as I'm going into that dark, I'm starting to see more of myself the more deep I go in the hole. But in a weird way, it's healing to make the music that sounds like my inner world because then I'm like, at least I know it's a real thing. It led me to make a real creation by dealing with this shit and by feeling that sort of dark feeling. And I don't know, it's just dark music is comforting to me. I don't know what it is about it. When I listen to like, obviously a huge Witch House fan. So when I listen to a lot of like Witch House artists, like right now, Pino the Angel's been one of my big ones. But I think it's a um, she does really elegant music. It's very, very atmospheric and almost gentle in a way because the sub bass in it is so like hypnotic and it's like a relaxing sounding dark. It's just like I like to think of my darkness as like I'm sitting under the stars. So I'm looking at like the distant lights all around me completely in eternity. And I'm sort of making my music to like make myself I'm trying to like maybe become a light bringer.
Mm.
One little
That's a
Hey,
good
reference.
track. That's a
wait,
good track.
Thanks, bro. That's exactly what that track is too. It
Right,
was
right, yeah.
wait. Okay, so what would you say to people who are, and by the way, that was a surprising turn of events that you end by saying that you're trying to be a light bringer. But I want to know how that follows from what you were saying about liking enjoying dark music and finding it soothing and like seeing more of yourself as you sink deeper into that hole. I think that's very interesting. But what would you say to people who might respond with like um a very common spiritual idea is that what you um well, by osmosis, like the kind of energy that you hang around in is what you tend to absorb and create more of for yourself. And some people might take what you just said and say, well, it sounds like you're just absorbing more and more darkness, which sounds like something that you don't want. So like how could that be making you feel better? And what does that yeah. How does that bring more light as well? Like, because it seems to me that it could just imply that you're creating more and more darkness.
so for me, how I look at it, the best way I can explain this is like I'm transmutating darkness into light, like by making this
Alchemy.
stuff, by making this music. Like I'm taking that darkness and I'm ripping it to its core, and then, like I'm inhaling that darkness, and then as I exhale, that's when the light comes out. It's like that exhale is like I'm sort of dissipating the darkness by consuming so much of it because we have role I feel like we do kind of have roles in our personality. Me being an only child, suffering from a lot of like anhedonia and just sort of being like
What
always
is
been the
anhedonia?
outsider. Anhedonia is like I like to think of it like this. It's a feeling of just no hope, no joy. It's the lack thereof of, feelings of joy and maybe more positive feelings. It's just you're empty in that sort of regard.
But
But
it's
it's not
not
like actively
depression.
negative. It's like it's
It's not inherently positive or negative.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just the lack of certain things or lack
Kind
of
of like
certain
apathy,
feelings.
I guess a little bit.
Yeah, I would say it's very similar to apathy.
Yeah, okay.
Anhedonia, that word came to me just like during a meditation one day. I didn't even know what it meant. And then I looked it up and I was like, wow, this actually pinpoints the last like 12 years, you know? And then when I realized that, it sort of cemented my direction with music more because I was like, wow, maybe like some of our purpose with music is like those of us that do make dark music like I do, we're sort of making an outlet for like people that can't find that sound that they're looking for. Like I hope that I don't care about being no big artist or anything like that. I just want the loyalty of the listener. Like I want
Mhm.
the loyalty and the quality of the listener, not
Oh,
the
same here.
quantity.
100%. And I've
Yeah,
always
same.
said this that like I would rather somebody have a deeply transformative experience through my music than be background music for a million people driving, you know, on the radio. Because that just means infinitely more to me to actually reach people in that way.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, in making dark music, I feel like I'm healing that dark side of me by making dark music because at
Right.
least I know I can listen to it and be like, okay, well, I felt that, I made it into something, and I got it out, you know?
That's so cool because
It's
um,
transmutation at the end of the day.
it's like alchemy, and it's not all dark music that is like that. And I've seen this a lot in black metal. Like I've listened to a bit of black metal. I listen to basically everything because I'm very curious because every kind of style has their own perspective to bring. But what I've seen a lot in black metal, and I hope not to offend too many black metal fans, but there is a lot of this kind of writhing around in your own, almost building an identity of your own suffering. And if anybody wants to see kind of the ultimate culmination of that kind of approach, the band Mayhem, there's
Oh, 100%.
documentaries on this, and it's just like these people are just like they've just built their entire identity and their relationship to the world of like suffering and death and know that
Yeah.
that's a very crazy situation. I actually recommend people like watch how that turned out because like members of the band murdered each other and like not to go
Whoa.
Yeah,
too
rest in
graphic
peace
with it.
to Dead. Rest in peace
Yeah,
to Pele. Pele, I think his name is, or I don't
Jesus.
know, Pele Olin.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Swedish, he's a Swedish guy.
So I
even
just
in,
wanted to kind of highlight the difference of what you're talking about here, of like you're using the dark sound as a
yeah,
transmutation, but there's other people that kind of it's almost kind of writhing around in this kind of
Yeah,
vicious
they
cycle of
sulk in
darkness.
it. They make their
Yes.
reality
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like
and
basically pouting.
it's some,
Yes.
it's something that artists need to be very aware of. Because I mean, although extreme cases like the one you just mentioned, Hewkii, may be rare, most I'd say I don't have statistics about this. Obviously, I don't know that this has ever been studied, but I would venture to guess that most artists in human history have been in that place for longer or shorter periods of their
Oh
lives,
yeah.
where they're subconsciously, not quite consciously, perpetuating their own suffering because subconsciously they're going, I want to be able to make more art from this. Like you're saying, you're taking the darkness and you're transmuting it, but then they can't figure out any other way of making art than just taking darkness and transmuting it. And then they run out of
Yeah, and
darkness and they're like,
I
we need
love
to
this
make
point you're making
more
because I was just
darkness.
talking about this. It's like a lot of these people choose to keep suffering because they think that's the only way they have good quality with their art. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people stay depressed to stay making good dark music, and I'm
Artistic
like, what
juice.
what do you get out of that?
Yeah, yeah. That was
You get
me.
good
That was
music is
me
what you get.
as a teenager. I was like, man, if I'm so sad. I feel so sorry for myself. I wish I could only date this girl, then I'd be happy, etc., etc. I was just
You know
wallowing.
my swag, not my
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Melancholy is not it's not a game, it's not a hobby, it's not a sport, it's a lifestyle. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean
Hopeless
it's
Oh,
romanticism. I mean, I think hopeless romanticism is probably the most common um, type of, or most common expression of this, let's say. What do you think? Like, it's kind of,
I would agree. I would agree
you're
with that
sorry for
though,
yourself.
because yeah, people I kind of because I've learned from this. I literally used to do this shit. So
Yeah, me
I
too.
used to sit there, pouting like I'm so depressed, like I can't help it. Like and I was making it an excuse. I was making the world around me
Not a
try to
phase.
bend like ass first in my face around my eggshells, not knowing that I could just strengthen the eggshells by going within myself, figuring out what the hell I'm going to do about this, and then actually taking action.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
a lot of people have that victim mentality, and I try not to. I hate victim mentality. I hate when bad things can happen to what I call weak people, and then they make it a reason to make hell around everyone they're around. Like they're just in a mood or they're, freaking I had so many past people that have just done this in my life where like no amount of good is good enough for them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
and
just no matter what, they're always that glass half empty. And I just
yeah,
eventually got sick of it. So when I realized I was sick of myself because I was doing the exact same shit by being around these people, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take having no friends over shit like this. Because
yes,
this is just ridiculous. We're all grown adults. The
Yeah.
world is not a place to make excuses.
Hmm. But I
amen.
think it's also fundamentally, I think, is ignorance because I think people actually believe that the world is that way.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I think like
Yeah, and,
people
and
don't
through
actually know
ignorance
that
comes
there are,
arrogance.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And it's I think it's tricky because I think it can be easy to judge people who are in that place. I'm not saying you're doing that, but I've definitely found myself in that situation, and I've found that with time I've kind of softened my approach of understanding that some people it's that whole Jesus quote, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do,"
yeah,
is
yeah.
that they just don't seem to have found any way out of that place, and they've just kind of somehow accepted that
Man, yeah,
reality.
this has been one of the most difficult steps for me. I don't think I've even taken this step yet. Like take just accepting that the world is as messed up as it is, and that there are people in it who who are as pessimistic as they are about the state of things, and that people are holding themselves hostage with their own, holding a gun of suffering to their own heads, essentially, and for no good reason. Like there's nothing in the way except themselves in many
And
cases,
often it's just something they inherited from their parents or their upbringing that they actually don't know a different way to approach things. And I think it's the compassion is the ultimate way to go to really
Yeah,
understanding that. Uh, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I mean, I was just gonna relate this back to what I said before about taking any situation and seeing it as a favorable one and being grateful for anything that you might go through. Um, because it seems to me extremely difficult to be grateful for the fact that there are overly pessimistic in the world people in the world. But it's like there's to the ego, there's all this messed up shit happening, and you just got to be like, yeah, this is source's plan or whatever, and, and it's
Yeah.
exactly everything is precisely the way it's supposed to be.
And there's
Um,
degrees to messed up to like there's you may go through something so difficult that it feels uh virtually impossible to kind of process that or get over it. And I guess that's essentially what trauma is, that it's something that you just can't process. So it stays in you.
mhm.
Um
Yeah,
and if it
and it's totally like it's not helpful. That's the essential point for me. Like, is it helpful to give in to this inner resistance that says the world sucks and I'm
hmm
not okay with it. I'm not okay with things the way they are. And the obvious answer is no. It's not helpful to see the world as not okay the way it is because it is the way it is. You can't like
okay, but I'm
kind of
gonna
just
bring
put
this
yourself
back.
into a contradiction with reality. It's not going to do anything good for you.
But I'm gonna bring in the meta perspective here is that it's possible to hold two contradictory points of view at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Also
And
true.
you can be not okay with something, and some stuff is completely valid not to be okay with. But on a deeper level, and this is what Ramdas speaks about: a conscious person lives on two planes at once. You have the human level, and then you have your, at that level, you have your preferences for what you like and what you don't like. Then I have the deeper level of what you are, which is the universe itself, which is in complete acceptance of absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So you can hold both at the same time. Um, and accepting and actually being okay with the part of yourself that is not okay with certain things.
Yeah.
Like not this is another trap in the kind of spiritual approaches. It's like trying to force yourself to be okay with stuff that you're not okay with. Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to accept
Yeah.
this, but I can't.
It's a good old spiritual
Yeah, like you're trying to
nonsense.
fit into like the wrong shoe size.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because you want that shoe, like that specific shoe.
Man, if I
Yeah.
were truly awakened, I would fit in this shoe, yo. That's
Yeah,
this
Yeah,
shoe is the
they're
perfect
putting
shoe.
themselves in a cookie cutter point of view where they feel that they have to mold into something. But I'm gonna just relay it since Helge already brought up Jesus. I'm gonna relay it back to the kingdom of heaven's within you, bro. You know,
mhm.
the king that hell's within you, the kingdom of heaven's within you. You choose what you want to transmutate into your own reality by the art of, you could call it manifestation, you can call it placebo effect, whatever have you. You can
Yeah.
use like this last like year has probably been the most result of like manifestation I've ever seen in my life because I'm just trying to reprogram my brain to just like be in the state of feeling of already having something. And that way that way I'm not surprised when it happens.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah, yeah.
I do it with the tornadoes, I kind of like I do, I sit outside, I'll kind of like meditate, try to see like, hey, I'm gonna try to put up like a mental barrier or maybe like a spiritual barrier around my area to protect us from these storms. And we had a tornado in Jackson, but it didn't hurt anybody. And that's because like I was literally just telling myself like, please don't let this storm hurt no one,
Mm.
and it didn't. And I feel like that's a thing that we as humans, with the state, which just the way that life is, go to work, come home, make your food, take out trash, do laundry, like all these like distractions kind of take you away from that point of like your own power. And
Yeah. And even for skeptics who'd come and say, yeah, you didn't, like, that was just a coincidence that the
I mean, they would just call
storm
it
didn't
placebo
hit you.
effect.
I mean, yeah, but even to those people, they'd have to recognize the value of the calm that that would have brought you. It must have instantly banished any thoughts of anxiety you had towards that tornado, which is a good result in and of itself, even if it isn't true that you did control the trajectory of the tornado itself. Um,
I controlled like how I approached the tornado, and I think in that it had a result. Because I
Okay.
believe that, you can be your thoughts sometimes. So if you're anxious all the time, you're going to attract very anxiety-inducing situations.
True.
And if you're pretty calm, you're always just going to be in a state of like oneness with shit and just attract things that are of that same archetype.
I
True.
wanted to
Yeah.
bring something else in here.
I want to
Yes.
say real quick before you do, it's not clear to me that that would translate between, inner states of being and things out into in the physical world is kind of where I'm at when I hear something like that. But I mean, I see what you're saying, but I don't see that the connection is necessarily
I'm
true.
agnostic towards that. I think, yeah, it's hard to know. Um,
I mean, it's the ego telling me that I know it more than anything.
yeah, right.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still going to learn, better ways of maybe like wording it. But as of now, that's the only way I can explain how I do it.
So I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach, and this may not be for everybody, but I played with this a lot at some point, which was to essentially imagine the worst case scenario, really visualize it, and become okay with it.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
literally what I do, bro.
yeah,
Yeah.
Desensitize myself to the worst outcome, so that way I'm not scared of shit.
And
that's stoicism. That
when I
is.
did that a lot, at some point I did not care about any particular result of anything. And there was a tremendous freedom to like, yeah, it was a pretty psychedelically infused time and and I
What
just
an
remember
incredibly diplomatic way of putting it.
trying to walk the bridges, like cross the bridges between that. I
You
was doing a lot
psychedelic
of drugs.
heavyweight.
Yeah, so but I just remember very clearly, like the cops could come in here and they could take me, and they could put me into prison, and they could beat me up, and like, okay, this is reality. This is
Yeah, that's what stoicism is all about. Did you know?
okay.
Like
I mean,
there's
I
I
love
listened,
stoicism.
through the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, and it's pretty damn good for its time. I have to say, it's
yeah, I mean a basic like stoic exercise that anybody listening as well can do right now is just picture something terrible happening right now, something that you have in your life that you take for granted at this point, like if you have children or something, you can imagine. Sorry to suggest this with a person who has a child on the call, but like imagine
No,
that
you're
like
good, bro.
you were to your child were to die in an accident or something. Just really
Or the
put your
tornado that I'm fearing, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. Or just like put yourself into that situation and then come back and realize that your daughter is actually alive and just be like, "Oh my fucking God, yes, that's awesome." You know, that's kind
Yeah,
of
I definitely do that. Like that's honestly one of my big reasons I don't have I wouldn't say I'm like depressed anymore because I mean I get like feelings of it, but I'm never like in a state of just constant depression. I feel like it is because of that, because of the desensitizing myself to the worst outcome.
mm,
And just,
yeah,
because the ego is threatened to lose. The ego is threatened to lose the material. So when you
Yeah.
take the idea of something coming and fucking everything in the material world up,
Yeah.
it's kind of liberating in a way.
yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
weirdly comforting.
Yeah. I mean, eventually everything, every finite form is gonna merge back
Yeah, and
into God.
it's like, dude, if the
So,
storm was gonna kill me, it would have by now, you know?
yeah.
mm, mm,
That's kind of
So
how I
it's
look at,
it's kind of
that
like
sort of thing.
preparation for death, like death of others or death of yourself is the fact that like it's this whole impermanence idea is that nothing lasts. So the only thing that lasts is that nothing lasts, and it's gonna go. So you might as
the
well
only rule is that there are no rules.
might as well get comfortable with
Yeah.
uh,
A
it does.
weird thing I had happen to me on my last mushroom trip. It's very similar to this, but it's like it told me something along the lines of this. It was like nothing lasts, but everything transforms.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's funny. Have you heard this Terence McKenna? I think he was quoting somebody else. Nothing lasts, but nothing is lost. Maybe William Blake. I don't know. I
It's
think.
very similar. Maybe that was
Do
the spirit of Terrence McKenna talking to me. Who knows?
do
Whatever.
you know Spangle? D-
Spangle, I do not.
Okay.
Oh my,
It's
I
a.
feel so relieved. I didn't either before how you brought them up.
I mean, a lot. It's very big in the psychedelic scene, but it's very probably one of the trippiest bands out there. But they
Oh
have
yeah.
an
Insanely
album
trippy.
built around this concept. It's called Nothing Lasts, but Nothing is Lost.
Yeah, I love that little quote that the way you said it, Redmuun,
Hmm.
because it's essentially the same statement, you know, nothing lasts and everything transforms. You know, the reason nothing lasts is because it's always transforming,
Yeah.
you know. It's
I mean, the universe coming into creation was the transformation of nothingness, because we know that nothingness by definition cannot exist. So what is left is inevitably is existence itself.
Yeah.
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 And that's why like
That
that's what definitely that's that point definitely kind of put me away from the atheist point of view of like,
Yeah.
you just die and that's it. It's like, no, we transform, but we can't consciously understand what transforming is when we're condemned to this physical form. And
Yeah.
that's the point of the spiritual growth aspect of life is to like transform your spirit so you're not scared of losing your body at the time that, you meet your maker.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think that's what the ancient Egyptians did with like, the Book of the Dead. They got as spiritually ready to die as they possibly could because they wanted to transform their soul to like go back to the Orion constellation or whatever it is they believed. But
Yeah.
it's still there's always that point of view, and that's I think why a big reason Christianity exists is because it's still I don't agree with a lot of it, but it's still the point of view of like you need to like grow spiritually as much as you can in the life that you are given, so that way death is not a loss. Death is
Yeah.
only a loss to someone who's never gained. But if you have gained spiritual maturity, you don't have anything to lose there because nothing can be lost.
Yeah. And I guess every time you change, there is a certain death. Like even if you're in a,
We have a
if
bunch of
it's,
deaths in our lives.
yeah, like if you're
if
in a
you're an
really
overly
depressed.
melodramatic poet, you might think of it that way. Yes. I'm just
No, but I
kidding.
think like in the just being completely kind of empirical about it, I guess, when you're like in a very, very depressed hole in your life and you make a change, to kind of get out of that situation, it is the death of your depressed self. And
Mm,
often
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
that particular version of yourself has a kind of a self-preservation mechanism. It doesn't want to die because it's built kind of an identity of being that particular
And
thing.
the only the only like it depends on you for survival. It's a psychic parasite. Like it needs your attention and your energy, otherwise it's gonna die. So it needs to come
Yep.
up with little like, hey, here I am, here I am. Don't look away. I'm, I'm
Yeah.
gonna die. Don't look away.
Yeah, I think
Pretty
that's a good
much.
way to put it. Psychic parasite is very accurate too.
Psychic parasite might be the word of the show, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be the
That's,
episode name.
that's like-
I think I got that. I think I may have taken that from Eckhart Tolle. I think he said that, but somebody
yeah.
may have said that before him. That's definitely
I
not
also
me.
think of it too. When we have these times where we feel like part of us dies in life, like we look at a snake and it's just the shedding of skin. You know, at the end of the day, the only thing that happens in death that we know is that we're shedding our body.
Hmm.
That is scientifically true. Like we just shed the body.
Well,
We don't know what happens.
we also know that different parts of our functions are controlled by different parts of our body and our brain, and our brain stops functioning when we die, and so there's that kind of like pretty good reason to believe that life doesn't go after death, at least if you don't see it from the consciousness perspective. Um, that would be the atheistic argument against that, which I've heard Sam Harris in a very funny debate where he was like, "There's no real evidence for life after death, and also there's pretty good reason not to believe in life after death because in fact your brain stops functioning."
I, I
And I was
would I
like,
would send
Yeah.
him the video of Leo Gura called "Brains Do Not Exist" or "Why Brains Do Not Exist." Have both of you seen my song "Leo the Fetus Buzzer"? The
Yeah,
music
I've
video.
heard it.
of course. How could we not? How could I forget?
Hey guys, it's Leo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna sample Leo for my next track, bro.
Yeah, he's
When he was talking about his freaking mushroom trip, where he took like a freaking ball of hair that was on the ground in the bathroom, and he like looked at it, he went, "Whoa, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life."
he's just such a funny character. He's like he's just a living meme,
He's
bro.
a
I love that
trip,
guy.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's.
I've listened to almost too much of his stuff. I think his stuff is personal. I think he's so good. I think he's a bit crazy.
Oh, I know. I
Um,
I know you
but
like him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, let's see. Actually, I do want to see if at one point I can maybe potentially get him on the podcast, but we'll
That's
see.
That would be so sick. I would love to watch it because he has some interesting philosophical like ideologies. Like there
Yeah.
was this one video. The video I found him on was like how not to give a fuck.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was like the
What?
video I found him on, and it's been years, but I remember him talking about like not giving a fuck is like an art form.
Hmm.
You know, it's just the simple fact of like everything else can have a reaction to you, but you choose how much that eats you up inside.
yeah,
Right.
And ever
yeah.
since then, like that was a pretty detrimental video to like my sort of spiritual growth, if you want to call it that. It's like, you know, we're taught like, the I'm gonna call it TikTok spirituality just to put a coin name on it, but they always teach you like distance yourself from everything negative and everything. But I'm like, if you do that, how are you gonna face it? Because
Right.
life don't let you go on without facing shit. And
No,
same
no,
thing
no.
with psychedelics, you know? And
Hmm.
I love to think of the idea of like when we do die, what if they described as hell was just a giant like ego death, like as their brain was releasing the DMT and like their brain functions were wiping out, like it's just a giant fucking ego death.
Yeah.
It's the biggest one you can imagine. But the thing is, your life should be spent preparing for it.
Hmm.
Like your
Yeah.
your life should be more about gaining wisdom than trying to be like a harbinger of the material world.
Yeah. Hmm. Yes,
Mm.
and also it can be interesting to explore where those two intersect in your experience. Because at least I find that taking on different missions and actively playing the character that I was designated to play in this round of the human experience can be tremendously helpful in making a progress on the spiritual path, on the wisdom path, and in many ways, like that's one could argue that that is the more effective way to do it is to go out into the world and do a bunch of shit that scares you essentially and just challenge yourself by creating and bringing projects into the world and starting companies, etc., etc., and just creating music and art and bringing yourself out into the world and really stretching yourself, realizing that it's not really, it's all just a game after in the end,
Yeah, it's just a big ass show.
it's just for fun. Yeah. It's just like I think that all the
I
time. I'm about to do like a big leap out of my comfort zone on the 3rd of April now. I'm about to do this is like a little insert here. I'm about to do a songwriting event in Akureyri in my hometown in Iceland, and I'm about to lead people into an experience where they write a song in the morning and we play it together at a concert in the evening. And it's like it's probably going to bring the participants of the workshop way the fuck outside their comfort zone. And so I was thinking to myself, like, how the heck am I gonna, like, what have I gotten myself into here? Like, I'm gonna have to hold emotional space for people who are freaking out, who don't have a lot of experience performing live. Um, and then I always just come back to that thought, like, it's just for fun, man. Like, it doesn't matter if I mess it up. I mean, I'll just go in there
Yeah,
and,
because I
and
mean, you're doing it to do it, and that's the point.
yeah, even if I make a fool out of
Sometimes the point
myself
can be very
publicly.
simple.
Yeah.
The
And
art of not giving a fuck. I think that's a
I'm
book. I
I'm
think you may have.
looking. I
Yes.
think it is a book. I think I kind of mixed two up because it's just been a while, but
Are to not be I think Bashar said don't make things your business that aren't your business. I think that's a pretty fun way of putting it as well.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
not your business. Somebody comes in and projects some bullshit on you. It's just not your
It's
business,
it's
just
crazy because talking about that
matter.
particular period in my life where I was kind of going through this massive liberation. Um, and a big part of it was just realizing how I'm living in other people's heads and watching myself from other people's perspectives and wondering what I look like. And it was kind of like, when you're in a dream and you may feel embarrassed about something happening, and then you realize you're dreaming, and then you're like, wait, oh, this is a dream. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it was exactly that kind of sensation happening, but in real life.
Yeah.
I could just be on my underpants walking down the street and just like
yeah.
literally
But
see
also, it's kind of like a mini ego death because it's putting you in your dream world. It's putting you in a situation you're uncomfortable with.
Mm.
yeah. Hmm.
So it's definitely it's challenging the ego. It's seeing like, it's kind of like poking a needle at you, seeing what makes you twitch, like what makes you feel that needle.
Yeah.
It's like searching for parts of you that, and when you find that part that twitches, it's like, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where you need to work on something.
And you'll need
Yeah.
you'll need to keep facing your shadow on the outside until you meet it on the inside, I think Jung said.
100%.
This reminds me
Big reason I make dark music too.
Yeah,
Facing
yeah,
that shadow on
amen.
the inside.
Aho.
talking about the twitching. This reminds me of I have this happened a couple of times when I was going on journeys into the forest with psychedelics, and I would often
The
lay
forest of
down.
your mind.
Yes, no, Hedmark is a forest close to the city, and I would find myself in the situation more than once of just laying down on a bush or on moss and just slowly fading into ego death, and then I would feel something crawling on my skin, and just
Mm.
like boom,
Hmm.
right back into the
Oh
ego.
I
yeah.
have a story about when I challenged my ego because so basically this is a funny ass story. I was riding home from a friend's house on a bike at one point because this was before I could legally drive, and it was kind of on a road where there's not a lot of spots you could hide per se. So like I halfway home had to go to the bathroom real bad. So, I'm over here, I'm starting to go faster. I'm starting to go faster, trying to rush home so I can get home so I can, piss in a toilet. But didn't quite go that way. I eventually like I was going up this little hill thing that you have to get to my house. I hit a curb. Like I hit this curb, and right as I hit it, all the bathroom needs right then and there. And I didn't sit there feeling embarrassed about like literally pissing myself as a teenager. I was like, I need to call everyone I know and tell them how ridiculous this is. And then literally in the thought of me trying to pull over to grab my phone while I was drenched in my own piss, like these two girls, they were walking by, they're like, ew, what's that smell? I mean, that was the day I realized, uncomfortable situations bring the best freaking stories sometimes.
Yeah, true.
Oh yeah,
Because I still think
100.
about that, bro. I
Oh,
still think about it. And why was my first thought to be like, I need to tell everybody I know about this? Because I
But
was trying to be like,
yeah,
I wasn't embarrassed about it. I just thought it was hilarious.
the fact of you owning that situation just changes entirely that situation because you can have a situation where something like this happens and you're very embarrassed about it,
mhm.
and then that is kind of how people are going to perceive it. But if you fully own it, it becomes just badass
Yeah.
in a
Yeah,
sense.
it's transmutation, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
It's transmutating the situation.
and I'll bring this other story that I like to tell from that particular period in my life where I was transcending a lot of this stuff is at one point I was walking downtown and I was tripping on four psychedelics at once and and weed is illegal in Iceland. So
It was
and
it was a normal Tuesday.
yeah,
And normal Tuesday in Iceland, bro.
Yeah.
and my pants were kind of slightly too wide for me. So like they kind of fell down on my heels, and I was just like, "Yeah, my pants are just on my heels. That's how it's going." And I just kept on walking, smoking my weed with my pants on my heels, and then a police car drives by, and like normally in my regular everyday state of mind, I would have been like, "Oh fuck, the police is here. I should hide the weed." But then I'm just in this situation, in this state of mind, I'm just walking there with the pants on my heels, smoking the weed, and just take a big old hit of weed and just blow it at the police car, and it just drives by and doesn't do anything. And I can imagine that if I was like really like kind of communicating with body language like that I'm hiding something or being kind of sneaky, that then
You
that
would have
may
attracted the
I would have
interaction more.
yeah, but in this situation it's just like okay,
Fuck it.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Pretty much.
Hewkii, I think my favorite story is from the hot tub. Are you prepared to tell that one on record,
Oh, what?
or is that
Sure, why not? Since
I like how this is sounding already.
yeah,
okay.
it's a good one.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
next level, no fucks
Yeah,
given.
we're gonna go
Never,
there. Okay.
never
One
heard
second.
that. Never heard of that level
If
before.
he shits in
Well,
a hot tub, bro, and you found it,
not quite, not quite.
hell no.
But I could have and I wouldn't have cared. Anyway, so when I was a teenager, I was prescribed ADHD medication. Um, I'm not a big fan of that stuff, and I wouldn't recommend anybody doing what
No
I
big
did.
pharma.
So, it helps some people in the right dosages, but I'm just gonna put disclaimer out there, like, don't anybody do this. But I took like a higher dose of what I was prescribed.
I think you said eight pills, maybe.
I don't know. I think it may have been fivefold
Oh, okay.
the the prescribed
That's
dose.
clearly the
Either way, it
censored
was a
version of
lot.
the story.
It was a lot more than than I was supposed to take because I was a bit wild as a teenager and whatever. And I was vaping my herbal vape, weed vape at the same time, and it ends up just me. I was just walking around the neighborhood and was just like, okay, I'm gonna go swimming. I'm gonna go to the pool. I didn't have any like swimwear, didn't have anything on me, so I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go in my underwear. So I end up in the underwear in the hot tub, vaping my weed vape, just sitting there, and
Such a Chad move, bro.
For real, for real. I mean, imagine that though. That level of not giving a fuck is, I mean, it's
I think that's
unimaginable.
the beauty of life is not giving a
yeah,
fuck like to that extreme.
yeah. But
Yes,
I feel like I can't take kind of full credit for it because it would definitely not have happened if I would not have.
I mean, in in a public pool in Iceland, it's like you
It
can't.
was just a chain of
I've
events.
never even seen anybody smoke a cigarette in a public pool in Iceland. It's like you're just hitting the
That
vape
sounds like an
pen.
average Motel 6 with a pool in America. Is like they're
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
just smoking a cigarette, like half naked in the damn
No,
pool.
yeah.
yeah, Iceland is very conservative in many ways when it comes to weed. The older generations, especially, which is funny because I think Iceland, if I'm not mistaken, has the highest per capita percentage of people smoking weed.
Really?
Um, I think so. So I've been told, but I don't know. I haven't fact checked it, but Makes
I'm
sense. It's easier
well.
because
I'm
we're
proud
smaller.
to be be an Icelander in that case.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this would have been, you know, frowned upon by the eyes of society that I was
Yeah.
partaking of drugs in the public pool
I
on
mean,
my underwear.
yeah. That's yeah.
Lord.
I aspire to that level.
Yeah, but that's I think that the cool part about it is sure, like it would probably not have happened in just a regular everyday setting for me. It would not have happened, let's put it that way. I would not have done this. But but it this kind of an experience, it gives you a little bit of an insight of like that this state of mind is possible. Of that's that level of not caring about
Yeah.
what anybody else thinks. Um
Yeah. That's the usefulness
Dude,
of
that's like
an
when your
experience
spiritual
like this.
antenna is freaking beaming,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
what a lot of people who don't try psychedelics are missing out on as well. Like I had a conversation about psychedelics with my grandma the other day, or actually it was in January, just before I came back to Germany after holidays in Iceland with the fam. And she's, she's a doctor of psychology actually, and worked as a clinical psychiatrist for a while, for a long time, and did some research as well. And she's very, very I
Mushroom
won't.
tablet.
Oh no. She's enjoy. By the way, I was just about to roll one over here at the same time. Actually, I'll light it up after the episode.
I'm gonna light up tonight when my kid goes to sleep, bro.
Yeah. Well, and we're talking about psychedelics, and I'm trying to open her up to the idea of psychedelics because she's very old school when it comes to thinking about that stuff, and she's very knowledgeable about research about the human mind and human psychological well-being. She's very, very extremely well informed on all that stuff. Um, but I was trying to get her to see the value of just have taking a drug that emphasizes feelings and direct experience in the way that psychedelics do. And what I feel like, you were describing there, Helgi, that story of you in the hot tub hitting the
that
herbal
was not
pen.
psychedelics, to be fair. That was
Yes, but it's like it's
ADHD
a
medications.
exactly, but it's still something that influences your psychological state of being through, your emotions, essentially. I would imagine, or let me know if you disagree, actually.
Oh, too. You could put it that way. It was just like the emotions of essentially caring about what other people think, though they were just completely obliterated. There was just I could have,
Yeah,
and I'm somebody who cares usually about making a fool of myself. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable running down the street on my underwear. That would be a massive challenge for me. But this gave me just a little bit of a sneak peek of like, oh, it's possible to be in a state where you can do that and just not care one iota about.
yeah, yeah. And I was trying to describe to my grandma, therefore, that it can be useful to go into these extreme states of just feeling a feeling, an emotion in and of itself, and not really rationalizing it, because she's big on rationalization, obviously. Um,
Yeah, she needs like the logical reasoning for things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so hard like to have that conversation and to try to be like, yeah, but there's more to it, but you can't really describe it very well to a person who's coming at it from that perspective. So often you end up just beating your head against the wall for a while, and end up getting nowhere, which was the case in that particular conversation for sure.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
we
but
are left hemisphere just dominated in the West. We believe in left hemisphere dominance just to an extreme degree of like
yeah, which is
uh
wild because we make all of our decisions based on emotion.
yeah, and
Like
it's crazy. Like you can see
everything.
like there were some cases of people that didn't have their right hemisphere working and they could not put their socks on in the morning because
Mm,
even the fact of wanting to put on your sock versus not is an emotional decision.
yeah.
And if you don't, like everything we do is emotionally uh, kind of oriented in some fashion.
Yep.
Like caring about one version of reality opposed to another is an emotional decision.
Yeah,
So, but
it's a
we
value
don't like
judgment.
we've kind of elevated rationality in the left hemisphere to just an extreme
Society's
degree.
also society's literally like built for you to give a fuck what people think too. It's like there's this weird aspect to like living in a state like in areas that have laws because a lot of your decisions are not only based on emotions, but like it's almost like they outlaw not giving a fuck in subtle ways. Like if I was to run down the street in my underwear, not hurting anybody, just, covered, I would get arrested, you
Yeah.
know? Like I would be arrested for
Defector. Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, so a lot of things like not only like I think that when you don't give a fuck, that could be actually kind of dangerous because
Oh yeah.
I'm not trying to sound all like Matrixy, but like the system, you're
Get the
breaking the
tinfoil.
system by not giving a fuck, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, but it
Yeah,
makes sense. The system
it,
exists for a reason in the sense that it's like it's a mass survival mechanism that's been erected
the
for
system is
self-preservation.
it's built on giving a fuck, you know.
Yeah,
It's
and
built
giving a
on
Exactly.
we
fuck
That's
is
need
what
cool
that's
things
what
to
I was
also.
be
thinking.
this way. We need to
But the thing is, like, this is an
There
interesting discussion just on the fact of just giving a fuck, because giving a fuck what other people think of you is not something that's worth giving a fuck about. But giving a fuck about how you make other people feel or how you treat other people, that is,
there's a fine line.
there's a fine, and just the perfect example of this is Donald Trump. Is it what a lot of people find kind of refreshing about him is like, oh, this is this guy who doesn't give a fuck. And there is a value to not giving a fuck, but in his case, it's just he doesn't give a fuck actually about who he hurts, what he does. It's just pure egotism. And I think there's a line there that some people misunderstand of like, oh, not giving a fuck means just I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want. Damn the consequences for everybody else. So I think that's
Oh, 100%. Like
yeah.
he it was like I think his part of his secretary it was like someone in the Trump administration. They went on live, like they went on live TV, and they were talking about how like I don't know if this is true. I'm just saying what I watched, and I have no personal bias towards it at all. But yeah, she was saying like, hey, Donald Trump literally makes fun of all of his supporters. He thinks they're dumb. And he says smart people don't like him. And
Literally
then
scammed them. This
yeah, and then
crypto
back in
scam.
the 80s, he was literally saying, if I was to ever run for president, I'd go Republican because they're like the easiest people to fool. Which
Yeah.
after seeing that video, it was a little crazy, bro. It's
yeah.
like,
But I
man,
do
definitely. I don't
I
even
do
vote. I have no part in voting.
I have sympathy for that. I don't watch politics very much either, but I was gonna piggyback on that and say, um, yeah, I think a case can be made that it is short-sightedness to not give a fuck about what everybody else, what consequences your actions have for other people, because I do believe the best experience that you create for yourself is also the best experience for everybody else. The
Hmm.
way I choose to look at it, at least, if you just do
100%.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I trust you're a good person. If you just go and pursue your dreams, then I'm sure you're gonna come up with something beautiful for everybody,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah, but I think there's degrees to this. If you think like it makes sense that society kind of puts a taboo on like I don't know, you going around stealing shit or abusing people or like stuff like this. Makes sense to give a shit about this stuff, but somebody like running down the street in their underwear, like it doesn't hurt anyone. It just
Yeah.
like hurts
Yeah, and it doesn't
people's.
actually like it doesn't create, benefit nor like a negative outcome.
Yeah,
It's
it's just
just you
liberation.
simply existing and not giving a fuck versus
Exactly.
Yeah.
when you go out stealing, like it's a transactional level of not giving a fuck. It's like that level of not giving a fuck cost that store whatever the fuck that person stole.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 And I
So
think
it's
like
and there's
there's
so
not
many.
giving a
Yeah,
fuck
go
and
ahead.
then there's not giving a fuck about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about not giving a fuck about like all the different kind of levels of social conditioning that tell you you need to act a certain way to please what's considered kind of appropriate. And I
And
think a
then,
lot of those standards are just completely arbitrary. They don't serve any function. Like you going around laughing
And
and screaming on the street like a madman. Like I think a lot of people could use so much more of that stuff.
but then you let go of giving a fuck about that stuff that doesn't actually matter, like you say. And I agree that it doesn't actually matter. But then you get a bunch of people who still hold on to that belief that it does really matter, and because they're repressing their own expression. They're going,
Mhm.
how dare that person be so free about it? How dare you shine your light so brightly when I am so very depressed over here
It's
by
envy.
my own choice. And they project that onto you. So it can be hard. Like you really need to be careful when you're on that path to make sure that you're able to distinguish when people are doing that versus when people are actually being hurt by your actions. You
Yeah.
see, like
Yeah,
it's
100%.
mm,
Yeah. A really good
Yeah,
example
you
that comes to
still.
mind is I saw a video the other day. Somebody was playing the harp in public, somebody just playing their music. And there's like this person, this Karen, and comes up to the person and just starts berating them for playing music in
oh yeah,
public.
I
And
remember
like my reading of the situation was just like this person coming up to this musician, just like laying into them. She probably really, really wants to do whatever this musician is doing.
that.
Yeah, and then she
Um,
gives way too much of a fuck. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
The person on
yeah,
the street playing music, he doesn't give a fuck. He's doing it for fun.
yeah,
But then this lady
yeah.
gives way too much of a fuck. So then, you have the clash of the two different ideologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just wanted to kind of bring that in because you speak about the envy uh, part of the equation, which is I think is a big part of it. Is it's people actually want to be free, and when they see somebody doing what they don't dare to do, an easier course of action may be just to kind of criticize it than
It hurts their ego too much to see people doing what they wish they could do, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
We're all
exactly.
humans of that. We're all beings of that sort of emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
But it's like, I could feel like, last show I went to, which was Sidewalks and Skeletons in Nashville. And when I was there, I had a little bit of envy because I was like, I really want to be on that fucking stage, Like I wasn't gonna like shit on him for it. I was just like, but we all envy something sometimes, and I think it's just
Yeah, it's
inevitable.
natural. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, but I'm just, once I play live, hoping that if people do come to my show, I hope I make people want to hop on a stage, I hope like I radiate such a not give a fuck energy that you can't help but just be inspired by it.
I
'Cause
think
those are the musicians I like. Like Richie Blackmore from Deep Purple, my favorite guitar player because he's such a trip. Like he's known to be a dick to like everybody, but there needs to be someone in that role. You can't just have like 100% of musicians being like, "Oh, Mr. Nice Guy." It's like sometimes when you meet a douchebag, it's a little bit refreshing because it's just comical. It's just laughable. And it's like, I don't even know where I was going with this thought. I had a point
Do you
that
know
I was
Ingrid
trying to make,
Malmsteen?
but I love Ingve. I absolutely love him.
We spoke. Yeah, go ahead.
He's a total dork, but he's so cool.
Yeah, no, we spoke about him on the podcast the other day. Timid doesn't know him, but I was using him as an example of somebody who's just like a full-on kind of maniac, but in a fun way.
Him and Dave Mustaine for sure, because Dave Mustaine's
Oh yeah.
biggest fan is Dave Mustaine.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. He's
meet
also
the
come up
real
for us.
me.
I hate that freaking new song he dropped where he's like, I don't care because this life is mine. It literally sounds like an AI prompt, bro. He literally
It's
sounds like you typed
mine.
into AI, write a Megadeth song in modern production that would have been out in the 80s.
Yeah,
What a
It's like
what a
Dave's too old to be saying, like, I don't care because this life is mine.
yeah,
Like, you've
seriously,
had.
what a misfits way of life. What a
yeah.
But I mean hindsight is always 2020.
Oh,
Hey,
So
100%.
looking
I
back it's
actually
still a bit fuzzy.
I wanted to take a little bit of a detour because you were talking about kind of yeah, your music being dark and elegant. Um, I wanted to ask a little bit about like you come from a bit of a metal background, right?
Yeah, so I was playing metal bands ever since I was a teenager. My first band I was in. We played one birthday party, and it was a cover show. So it wasn't even like our original songs, just because we couldn't get shit written. Just because I feel like me personally, like me as a musician, I can't be in a band with people because there's like this I know I can get this out faster if I just do it myself. Like sometimes
Oh,
I
I'm
come
the
off as
exact same.
impatient as hell.
Oh yeah.
So I don't find that being in a band is my thing. I love being I like collaborating and I like, doing like individual collabs. But when it comes to like, the metal stuff, yeah, I was in the metal background and just I realized like as I was getting into like and opening my mind more to genres of music, because when I was hanging out with the metal kids, bro, if I would have told them I like Witch House, they'd be like, "What the fuck? You like electronic music? Electronic music sucks." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, okay, little bro, just fucking play your drums, like, be as threatened as
It's
you want by that."
it's so funny because I went through the exact same process. Because when
Yeah,
you're
it's comical.
part of the metal identity is that you have to hate pop music, and electronic gets kind of lumped in with
Well,
with
you have
pop
to
music.
hate, you have to kind of hate music that's made with computers. Isn't
Yeah,
that kind of it as well? Like you,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely a big part of it because a lot of like metal bands they're so against like direct input and like plugins and things like that. But then you have like the metal bands that do use like the Steven Slate drums and
Mhm.
what is it Tone Forge, Jason Richardson or whatever. And
oh yes. I
you
wanted
get
to
a
ask
lot of the
about this.
guys. You get a lot of the tube amp, acoustic, analog recording guys, and then you get the modern people, and it's like even they can't get along, and they're in the same fucking genre.
That's what, yeah,
Uh,
dude, that's what I'm talking about. Like with the vegans and the vegetarians, they're so similar.
It's the
And
same
yet,
shit.
yeah,
It's literally the same
exactly.
shit. Different toilet, bro.
so I wanted to ask, were you into Born of Osiris at the time? Since you spoke
I
about Jason
knew of
Richardson.
them. I knew
Okay.
of them, but I never deep dived much into them. When it came to my metal stuff, I was really inspired by metalcore and like the early 2000s, like what they call the divorced dad rock core or like the older brother core now. But I think the metal bands that got me into it was like Killswitch Engage,
Okay.
what else? As I Lay Dying, which fuck Tim Lambesis, but yeah, I really liked the metalcore style of guitar playing because, it felt very like medieval, kind of. Like, I don't know, the scales
Yeah.
that they were
No,
using.
I know what you mean exactly. Yeah, I was kind of into some of that. I was more into the proggy side of it, so I was more into Born of Osiris and Periphery, and but I was
My
more.
biggest song on Spotify is in 5/4. I mean, it's not progressive, but like the fact that I made a song that the best one I ever did was in 5/4, apparently.
Wait, what's
Yeah,
that? What's that one called?
It's called Drown. It's at the very top of my if you go on my Spotify playlist
I
or my
listened to that.
Spotify like artist. Yeah, it's that song's actually in 5/4, believe it or not. Because I
Let
was
me
really
check that
inspired by
out.
the band Sleep, which was, it's
Oh
like a
yeah,
doom
yeah.
metal band. And
Aren't they like
they did that one
stoner?
song, Stoner Doom, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I was really inspired by 5/4 because it kind of had like this funky offbeat to it that I liked. And I was
Yeah,
like, I need to make like a Witch House song like this because nobody did it. So I was like, fuck it, maybe I gotta do it, you know?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that
But I'm
scene
not
in
gonna lie, it's really hard to do vocal samples when you're in weird time signatures. So 4/4 has been ever
yeah.
since. I will go back to making weird time signature Witch House songs
Yeah,
eventually. I just
yeah,
got to get to the point.
you can hit me up for vocals anytime over 5/4. I'll cook something up.
Oh, I
Yeah,
got you. I wanted to try to get some like take some Gregorian chants and like Orthodox chants from Christianity, sample them in Witch House because that would just be like the ultimate mind fuck of how Witch House is like this big occult looking genre with all the upside down crosses and the triangles, like all the occult alchemy symbols. But then like have like a religious sample would just be so funny to me. Like I hope it pisses all the OG
Yeah,
Witch House people off. I hope it
yeah.
does in every way.
yeah.
I hope it threatens your ego that
Yeah.
much.
It's
It's so
gonna
funny
it's gonna
because
piss off the entire Bible Belt as well. I mean,
yeah, you piss off
Exactly.
everybody.
I
This
get
is
pissed off two ignorant groups.
yeah, it's so funny. I speak about this sometimes in the podcast that it's a very common theme that you have something that starts out kind of as a rebellious theme and then it just becomes its own orthodoxy, you know.
Yeah,
That
100%. Because even the
gotcha,
early days of
nice.
punk rock, like
yeah, I was
that
gonna
was the
say.
most not give a fuck type of genre of music. But then I mean, I did play in the punk scene for a little bit, so I got to know the people and got to know, yeah, actually punk people care way too much about shit. Like if you
Yeah.
don't dress punk enough, you're a poser. It's like they're throwing that word poser around, not knowing that you weren't always a punk rocker either, motherfucker. Like, you know?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
bringing up this example from South Park
Oh yeah.
of
I
you know
was
when
gonna say
Stan
something similar.
wants to join the goth kids. He's like, how do I become one of you? And they're like, well, you just gotta to not be a conformist, you just have to dress like us. You just gotta have to listen to the same music as us, and all this.
Yeah, you gotta make us an identity. You gotta
It's
make us
funny.
a collective identity or a
Yeah,
subcategory of
Yeah.
people
You
by,
gotta
wearing all the same shit. It's
conform
like,
to us.
yeah, conform not to society, but just to us. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
does that sound like? Oh, it sounds like a
This
cult.
this sounds
yeah.
like it sounds like society.
It's society. It's just sub culture. It's culture, but just on a smaller scale. So yeah, I just find that irony endlessly amusing, especially because I used to be like this. I identified as a metal kid when I was like 10 to 13, 14. Um, and that was like I did not want to fucking fit in with the other kids in school and their Justin Biebers and their Black Eyed Peas and their new iPhones and their fucking brand clothes. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm a metal guy and I want nothing to do with all this. And then over time I just realized like, wait, what was the reason I had long hair and I listened to this kind of music and I dressed in band shirts? Oh, I was doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
It's,
This is the good old duality again. Like you're conforming or you're anti-conforming, and really it's just two sides of the same coin. And
Yeah.
the answer is a much deeper truth.
dude, it's funny because like me and my girl, we have this inside joke where every time we see like a metal dude that's like they just look like they're trying way too fucking hard,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like you know those people.
Oh
We always
yeah.
do this thing where we'll look at each other and we'll go
Yeah.
like as a joke.
With the
Like we
metal
do, we
horse.
just like behind their back. I'll just look at my girl and be like, rock and
Yeah.
roll or like heavy metal. Like I do like
Yeah.
basically South Park style comedy to
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a
But it's
big
just
thing in
because
metal.
like, bro, it's such a giant joke to like try to be something. I think like I don't know,
Yeah.
bro. People can label me what they want. I get told I'm a John Lennon ripoff, a Geddy Lee ripoff. I get told I'm a school shooter. Like I get told a lot of things about what people think I am. So, I just make a big ass joke out of it at this point, and I feel
Yeah.
like, that all comes back to that transmutation of taking the situation, even if it's not inherently positive, and just like creating something hilarious out of it, just
Yeah.
to overtake the situation's power over you.
Yeah, because you're you. You're not that whatever thing, the clothes you're wearing. So you're always gonna be your own unique thing, and why limit yourself to any kind of given identity or subculture?
Mhm.
Um,
100%.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
yeah, go ahead.
no, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just gonna
No.
say, like, I think still every subculture has like an interesting perspective on life, and I like kind of sampling or you know how do hippies look at life, how do punks look at life, how do metalheads, how do gangster rappers look at life, and I take periods where I listen to these different styles of music and I try to kind of archetypally kind of tap into like what is it about this music that has kind of a unique take on life or a unique kind of energy to it. And I try to like contrast them with each other and see like, okay, yes, there's a certain thing that this particular culture is missing. Like for example, a lot of hippie culture can use more of what the gangster rap culture has of like just fully kind of not giving a fuck about what other people think and just being yourself, being like having a little bit of healthy ego,
Having a
being a little bit
gangsta
of a gangster,
vibes, yeah.
Well, just also just sort of being able to like move, like moving with that confidence that like G's have, because I mean,
Hmm.
where I grew up in California, there's a lot of them. A lot of my friends were, gangbangers, but what I learned from them is like they don't take no shit, basically. And
yeah,
it's like hippy dippy people, as I like to call them.
yeah,
They do everything except not give a fuck, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they like I don't know. I went to Ocean Beach and just like all these girls that are trying to sell these little crystal necklaces, just this sort of I call it the Diet Coke spirituality. Um, they're saying like,
Well,
oh, th this has a lot of intention put in. It's like, bro, I'm just trying to buy it because I think it looks cool. Like I don't need the whole selling spiel because they're trying to be salesmen. They're trying to be spiritual salesmen.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the Bible, it literally talks about when Jesus flipped a table because they were trying to sell religion. I always think of that with spirituality, with like those the TikTok witches and like, the Instagram real metaphysical people that they're doing it for like a product. Like they have a salesman mentality about going about, the
Hmm.
hippie and spirituality. And that's why I think spirituality is right now kind of getting a lot of shit just
Yeah.
in being like cornball stuff. And I think it stems from that. I think it stems
Hmm.
from the cringe.
I mean, Alan Watts, he said it's essentially like, and he actually kind of brought awareness to the fact that this is what he was doing. It's like you're stealing somebody's pocket watch and selling it back to them because you're
Hmm.
not really selling somebody something that they don't inherently have when it comes to spirituality because everybody is inherently that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it's
because it's back to that kingdom of heavens within you, bro. Everything, all the tools you have are in you. You
Hmm.
know,
yeah,
Yeah. I
like you want to make changes in life, bro. You gotta make the change. Ain't nobody doing it for you.
yeah,
uh
100%.
I mean, okay, so at this point there's like a billion other things we could talk about and I would love to, but I do need to get to bed at some point and get up early in the morning. It's
All right, I
about
hear
to
you.
turn
100%.
11 p.m. over here in
It's
Germany.
4:56 p.m. here, bro.
I would Oh, okay. So late
Yeah,
in the
because we're
afternoon
we're
here.
not on. I know you had that guy that I think he lives in Oregon. He's on a different time than I am. I'm 2 hours ahead of
Martin,
him.
Martin Ball.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got lucky with you with the time difference. We were able to
it's a little
start a little
more
earlier as well, which is
A
great.
little
amicable.
more
Is that the
near.
word?
Man,
And
I want to say Redmuun, I didn't know what to expect going into this episode. I didn't know a whole lot about you, but we don't normally go for this long. We've gone for like 2.5 hours, and I feel like we could
oh
go for
wow.
about, you know,
Yeah.
10 more if we really had the time and capacity for it. So I guess we'll just have to have you on a second
Yeah,
time sometime.
closing, I
Oh,
wanted to
always
ask
down,
one
bro.
final question. Um,
Or listen, shoot it.
how did you find? So we connected through Instagram. You were a listener of my music, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
How did you find my stuff? Like, what's the story?
Yeah,
So,
that's an
but
important one
psychedelics
to
was the big
discuss.
reason because I was researching doing mushrooms for the first time because I was like 17 or 18. And then I discovered Psych Substance, which he had used in a trip safety video. He used one of your tracks. It was Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah,
And I heard that song and I was like, whoa, like I need to figure out what the hell this is. I've never heard music even sound like this. So I took the deep dive and like I remember a lot of the time when I was, smoking weed, doing psychedelics at that time, I was listening to Bhagavad Gita, Summer Wind, Aurora Borealis, just that whole Guy in Mind album. Like
yeah.
that is still such a fucking banger. Like
Thank you.
even though I'm Witch House and I have to be all dark and spooky and shit, like I still absolutely love it. Because I was
Yeah,
like, there was no word I could really describe it. Because when I was listening to specifically the Sacrament, and I heard that weird glitchy time signature thing that you do like halfway in the song,
it's a 7/8.
yeah, the 7/8, I was like, this guy just never ceases to fucking amaze me. Because it's like,
Oh,
okay, this song's really cool because it's got like a reggae beat kind of. Then, oh, well, this one sounds like Prague House, which that was Summer Wind. And then this one is just a weird, glitchy, like almost insecty groove.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was blown
hey,
the fuck away, bro.
Hewkii is the Beatles of electronic music. He will take on every style in one album and set the bar while he's at it.
I like
Yeah.
variety. Why contain myself?
I know even though I'm Witch House, I do try to do it like differently. Like Lightbringer, the song you like, that's literally like a West Coast rap inspired song.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
take inspiration. I just kind of the sound just the sound I like is just the bass, really. Everything else can take on a different form. But yeah,
yeah.
I do have songs with
Awesome.
guitar on it too.
Mm.
Yeah, man. I've been taking a bit of more of a deep dive, and I really dig this style. It's funny. I wanted to mention earlier that it's kind of funny that it's called Witch House because to me it has kind of nothing in common with house. It sounds more
Yeah,
like
it's that's what I say. I'm like, it's not even house music. It's
it
more like
sounds
trap.
yeah, it's more like dark trap or even dubstep a little bit, kind of when it
It
comes
can
to the
have
tempo.
dubstep.
Yeah, so
You
it's
never really specified which house.
I've been lost out here for hours. Which house?
Yeah, which
I'll simplify
uh,
Witch House like this
yeah.
though. Witch House is big, deep bass note, screechy
Yes.
saw synths, and big trap drums.
Yeah,
That's how I would coin it.
I'm
sounds
ve
good.
I'm very interested to take a deeper dive into your stuff now, actually, having heard
Definitely
your
check out
stuff already.
the record company on YouTube, Untitled Burial and Nightmares and 808s. Those ones are like the two big ones of Witch House,
Yeah,
Man, I
which I
really
think I have a couple
I
songs on.
dug your recent release. I don't think it's your last release, but the one
Oh,
before that.
Threefold.
Three, oh, it's so good, man. It's
yeah, your
good.
Thanks, bro.
last release was whack, but the one before that one, I'm just kidding.
No, Decay was supposed to come out sooner, but I submitted it to a record company that, because he'd been asking for me to come on for a bit, which he's really cool. I love Robbie. He actually worked a bit to help me get that song on Spotify because there was a weird issue with the ending where it wouldn't upload because it dragged out too long. But he fixed it, and yeah, that song was actually supposed to be the first one of the year. But Threefold, just I think that's my favorite of the new ones.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thanks,
Recommend.
I've
bro. It's just I
got,
got that sub bass sound I've been wanting for so long.
uh,
Yeah,
pulled
totally.
that one up on my Spotify right now. Suggest
So,
everybody else
so feel
listening do the same. Is there anything you'd like to say as like a to kind of plug yourself and what you're doing, where people can find you? What
Yeah,
anything
so you can
people
find
should
me on
know?
Spotify, and you can find me pretty much anywhere. My Instagram, Redmoon519. Um, I'm trying to get on
With a
VK
double
because,
U with two U's, Red Moon,
yeah, the two
Moon.
U's, very important. But I'm trying to get on VK right now, so any of like my Russian fans, just know I'll be home soon.
Hey, on
But
VK. Wait, what is that?
yeah, VK is like the Russian. It's like combining Facebook or Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Spotify into one app. Because I don't think Russians can access Spotify, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh, uh,
But yeah,
okay.
trying to get on there. And yeah, check me out everywhere. I
Well,
post a lot of bullshit.
we'll leave links to all your stuff in the show notes. So,
Heck yeah, bro. This has been a fun time for my first podcast.
yeah, for
I've never done a
sure.
podcast.
Hey,
Yeah, man.
really? Okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's my
kudos,
very
man.
first one, bro.
You're a
And
natural. I was freaking out on my first one.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
hey, I mean, I definitely had to like feel the vibe to see what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say. That was the only part I had a little anxiety with,
Yeah,
but honestly, it's a laid back podcast.
yeah,
Yeah,
we keep it cool, we keep it chill,
this is all
and
about the group dynamic and
it's all about the vibes, man.
But definitely not opposed to doing this again. This has been a blast. This
Oh,
has
for sure.
honestly been a loophole of time for me because I didn't even realize it's been 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
yeah.
man.
Likewise, brother. This was we went so deep. We're very much on a similar wavelength with a lot of topics, and it's like
Oh, 100%, bro.
it's not every day you have a deep conversation about something that you're really actually interested in, like the stuff we've been talking about today. So I'm really grateful
And
for that.
Like true California libtard.
everyone go check out Flammeus if getting sick and doing a lower
Oh
note
yeah.
than he can normally do.
La, you saw that?
Yup. When you did the Josh Turner song.
Yeah, maybe lock them doors and turn the lights down low. It's such a good one.
That's a banger.
Such, no, yeah, yeah. So I do have a cold. Thanks for mentioning that. Actually, if anybody didn't notice, my voice is like a perfect fifth
Feel
lower than
better, my
usual.
brother.
Yeah. Okay, sweet. Well, this has been fun. Looking forward to next time. And we're
Likewise.
peacing out. This has been the Hewkii and Flammeus show featuring Redmuun. Goodbye and
The
see you
red
next
the
time.
the
Goodbye.
red moon with the two U's, not the eight others that are on Spotify with the two O's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just had to clarify.
Just before we leave, everybody, our outro song for today is The Sacrament. I picked this song because it's Red Moon's favorite song of mine. And
It might actually be mine as well.
it's a cool song. It's very different. It was actually my first kind of take on hip hop. So,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, I was implementing a little bit of kind of lo-fi hip hop into my kind of psychedelic electronic style. Um,
I see that.
yeah, and some jazz stuff. I had a plugin called Sensual Sax,
Oh
where you
yeah.
can just play saxophone and did some lines on the saxophone.
Sensual sax.
It's-
That's
and
awesome.
actually, the plugin it was like it had a button in the middle of the plugin, and it just set sex on the on
Just
the button,
say.
and you can just the more you crank up the sex button, the sexier the sax sounds.
Yeah. Oof, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did memes in freaking digital audio workstation plugins. That's hilarious.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big thing, and I have fun with it sometimes. So, yeah, there was
That's
some
so
sensual
accurate,
sax
though.
in
I
there.
mean,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
you see that guy on stage, you're like that guy fucks, yo.
yeah, well, yeah. It is unequivocally the sexiest instrument in that way. Um,
Ba ba ya ba 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 ya ba. Yeah, but seriously, cool song though. I really enjoyed the
thank you.
chord progressions. I enjoyed the melodies. I just enjoyed the composition of this one a lot. I think it was a nice combination of bass line and melody, and I thought the bass especially sounded really booming and really what's the word I'm looking for? Really like tight and just the way it sat in the mix. It's really
It's a
satisfying.
it's an upright bass
Yeah.
plugin.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
I
it's
mean
kind
it
of
to my ears it sounded like an electronic bass even.
it starts with an upright bass and then it switches into an electronic bass.
Okay. By
And
the
this
time
song
it
was
gets the minor groove,
yes. Oh, I mean, it starts the minor groove starts in with the upright bass and then it switches into the electronic bass.
yeah. Yeah, it sounds really bouncy. That was the
It
word I
it
was
is
looking
very
for.
bouncy, and it also added some kind of some swing to it, or like some notes were intentionally misplaced by a few milliseconds just to give a little bit more of that human feel.
You could hear that
Yeah, it's got a little bit of swing to it. And then it goes into a section in seven, um, which was originally it was gonna have a keyboard solo by Magnus Johan Ragnarsson.
Oh,
I don't know if you
really?
know him. Yeah, he's kind of one of the bigger keyboard players in Iceland. He plays with all the big
Playing with
Icelandic artists.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were together in music school. We were together in like practice band class, play some jazz songs together. So he did a solo for it, but it didn't work somehow. Like it didn't make sense for the song. So she like, fuck it, I'm just gonna release it without solo. But every time I hear that part in seven and leading up to the part after that, I'm like, I just hear the missing solo. Nobody else hears it probably, but I'm just like, I should have just been more patient to put the solo in there. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, it's a very fun song in the way that it just goes through a lot of stuff. Like there's some funky groove stuff that happens in there, almost like a little bit of a Gorillaz vibe.
yeah.
And then I do this interesting thing in the outro where in the last bar it just slows down and it just enters into this slow, dark outro
Yeah. It's
where
two
I'm
minor chords.
where I'm doing a minor chord and then doing another minor chord, a major third down.
Yeah.
The Darth Vader chord progression. I love playing with it. It's just such a beautiful dark sound,
It's very dark.
and with the right ambience,
Yeah.
it's really cool. So yeah, we- enjoy the sacrament. I don't think there's
Take
anything
the
more to say about it.
sacrament. Just be
Take. Oh yes,
careful.
actually, I should say the name of this song. It comes from an art piece called The Sacrament. But I don't know if I can find it. It was a psychedelic artist, but I probably
Maybe we
can't find it.
can put it on screen perhaps
Perhaps. Let me
if you
see. Give
find
me
it at
one
some point.
second if I can find it. No, I don't seem to be able to find it, but oh yes, I found it. Mark Hansen.
Mark
Uh,
Hansen.
yeah, with an E. So it's this kind of artwork of kind of an Amazonian tribe, it seems, in the jungle, and they have all their plants there and all the mushrooms and all that
Ah,
stuff. So
so
I
they're
saw that piece and
about
I
to
kind
take
of
the sacrament.
yeah took the name from there. So
Is the music inspired by the picture as well?
I think partly, yeah,
Hmm.
partly, yeah. It usually doesn't come from one thing. There's usually many things that go into it, but yeah, I think it played a part. It's been a while. It's almost a decade. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, enjoy the song, Sacrament.
Like I did. Woo!
Yeah.